on the internet. I just have to send this in like 2
Huzzah.
more places, and then uh, okay, the stream is live. I see it. I hear it. Say something real quick.
Testing, testing. Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Okay, I'm gonna turn you up a little bit.
Testing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
Changeling the
Let's.
Dreaming.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Hopefully that'll be good. If not, other people will let us know that you're not quite loud enough.
Sure.
Hopefully politely, but not always.
Such is the nature of the internet, right?
Yep. Yeah, but we'll give a couple of seconds for people to pile in, see how
Sure.
many people we can get our hands on. But I am excited for this. I have been kind of thinking about it for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
It's you know, I have a lot of feelings about this thing in particular.
That's good. Feelings are good.
Yeah, we'll see if they're good feelings or not. But I mean, ultimately, like, yeah, we've uh we've had some good times and some bad times and things like this. So I'm very interested to see your take. This is also another interesting one in that in general uh when I've had people on for this type of thing, I was attempting to get people who were like, this is, my absolute favorite game of all time. This is a thing that everyone needs to know about. So,
Sure. Yeah.
this is going to be interesting in that as well, that this will be like, you know, not necessarily that.
Right.
um,
I mean, it's not one my favorite game of all time. I mean, that's always something super hard to pin down, right? That's it,
right.
to pick one thing amongst all your favorites. That's kind of unfair. It's like, which child do you love the most?
Yeah.
It's
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So, but this is a game that I feel is vastly unjustly criticized. And mostly it's simply because people don't understand it. Because the people who don't understand it and decided that they wanted to play it butchered it. So
Yeah.
that's, I think, the biggest problem.
Yep. And I think that's, because that's the thing that has stuck with me all these years is um that which was LARP essentially, right? Like,
Yeah. Yep. That's where, I mean, most of us
okay, hold on a
really
second.
got into and interacted with other of the White Wolf
Yeah.
games.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. And that's another question I have for you that we'll get into of how you think that this works in a mixed nuts type situation, but one step at a time.
sure. Yeah. Right.
But anyway, let's give this like another minute or so. I think I finally pulled up everything that I need. This streaming is definitely um a three monitor situation.
Oh, sure. Yeah. You
Which
got to have
is
things that you're monitoring as well as the thing that you're interacting with.
yeah, I
Yep.
have to have OBS up, then I have to have my stream manager, and then I have the screen that we're actually like doing stuff with. So,
Presenting with. Yeah.
yep. All right, cool. Uh, sweet. We are good to go. So whenever you are
Okay.
ready, I look forward to this PowerPoint. I see that you have even gotten a Changeling the Dreaming like theme. Did you
Oh
make
yeah.
that background or did you find it?
I made the whole thing. Yeah.
Oh my
No, I made the
god.
whole
That's
thing.
I mean,
I,
first we had
I
Wade and he made like a 50 slide PowerPoint. And now
my slides are not 50 slides.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think
Well,
I have maybe like 10 to 15 total.
yeah. But still,
But
I
I
mean,
basically just did talking points on them too. So
perfect. All right, well, make me love Changeling.
I'll do my best. I'll do my best. So Changeling the Dreaming came out about 20 plus years ago now. And at the time, it was a pretty innovative game in the fact that it's a game where you play something that isn't inherently corrupted or evil. For White Wolf, that's unusual,
Yeah,
right?
it's weird.
You were mentioning that to me a while ago. So like vampires and werewolves and wraith and all these other things, they generally are, in point of fact, monsters in some way, right? And they are
Or
all,
yeah, like something else could potentially drive them to turn them into a monster.
well, correct. But I mean, for example, of every vampire is by definition monstrous because you
Right.
have to drink people's blood to survive, right?
Yeah.
Werewolves turn into giant fur-covered killing machines. They're
Uh,
monsters.
yep.
So so Changeling is a weird one where, yes, I mean, in the strictest sense of the word, you are a monster, you're not human, you're abnormal, you're supernatural. But it is not something where changelings are um, out of control and like Frankenstein's monstering it up, rampaging through the countryside. So, um, which can happen to both vampires and werewolves and a lot of the other things out there, wraith and everything else. But um, that's neither here nor there. That's just a general, that's how one of the ways that it's different to put
Right.
that in your brain. But um, moving on here, I have this is the what it is, what to play, and why it's meaningful, right? So I have them separated into three different colors for
Clown
what it is, what
Town.
it's right. Yep. So I'm going to go into what are changelings in
Uh
general, right? For
huh.
people who haven't played the game, because I'm assuming that there's people that eventually have watched this or will watch this that don't know what the heck a changeling is at all.
I
Whereas
would
we're old
say
hat, right?
a
So
vast majority of the people who watch this and watch these VODs have never heard of anything but D&D. So
there you
assume
go.
that that is where people are coming at it from.
Right. So I'll give a brief history of what like changeling history is, and then a brief information about what the dreaming is. My goal is to get a general structure for like so you have a big picture of what changeling kind of is all about.
Yeah,
And
you want
then with
that
the
taste.
red ones, right? With the red stars, those ones are the negative or the criticisms of changeling. So Clown Town is basically what everybody thinks changeling is, right? It's just goofy nonsense and doesn't make any sense. And why is this in a world of darkness setting where everything's supposed to be grim and gritty?
Yeah,
Um, and then I have not nice and not easy, and that means you can definitely play changeling not nice. It's something that is not done very often, and ironically, it is half of what changeling is. And so everybody seems to focus on the prior and not the latter portion of it. Um, and then not easy. Being a changeling ain't easy, man. There's lots of things that our changelings have to do that other supernatural creatures in the White Wolf universe, old school, old World of Darkness, of course, is what we're talking about, that they don't
right.
have to do. Um, and so why it's meaningful are the green stars. Um, offers a niche that other White Wolf games don't, and I'll go into that a little bit. You've already lost. That's kind of in the short version, and I'll go deeper into it later. But the short version is that being a changeling, the second that you manifest your Fey mean and you are awoken to the Fey world, and basically the second you become reborn again as your changeling self, you've already lost. So
That's messed up. I've never heard
yeah,
this before.
so that's part of what makes changeling dark and what makes changeling a meaningful and significant, like why it fits in the world of darkness. So I'll get into that
Okay.
in a little deeper down,
That
but
kind of
and then
reminds
I
me of
also have
werewolf a little
some
bit.
a little bit, but in werewolf, the apocalypse is coming, right? The apocalypse, you're trying to fight the apocalypse. You're trying to stop everything from
Yeah.
getting bad.
I
You know,
mean, it's pretty bad
you-
though. It's
it is pretty bad, yes. But you haven't. The difference is, as a werewolf, you're fighting a war, right? As a
that's true.
changeling, the war has happened. It's over, and this is the post-apocalypse that you're living in.
Oh,
So,
okay. This is interesting. I
uh,
I look forward to
so
hearing that. All right.
so And then the last thing is modern correlation. So as I said earlier, this came out 20 plus years ago, right? And
Yeah.
so they didn't have a lot of modern things nowadays that would make the dark system that they made even darker because of these modern things that are happening. So I'll go into that a little bit.
Interesting.
Um,
Okay.
and then one thing at the very end that isn't I don't have a point for is while I was, doing some research and brushing back up on the game and everything, since I haven't cracked open the book in years and years, I found out something very interesting to me anyway that I had overlooked for every other single time I've had this book open. And it's almost to me like a hidden conspiracy theory that is
Okay.
staring you in the face at the second you hold the book in your hands, but you don't
Interesting.
realize it until after you've read through the book.
This is
So,
the
uh,
only book I don't own as well, so I
oh
don't
well, there you
have one
go.
to open. Although
Well,
I bet I could buy
if
it for cheap.
yeah, yeah. So this is the front of the for reference. This image here is the front of the book. So this is what's on the very front title hardcover of the hardcover book. So,
Yep.
and this is the image that I'm going to break down later on.
Sure.
That's the conspiracy theory that I have. But in any case, we'll get into that later. So, so what is a changeling, right? So
Yep.
changelings are fae, which I'm assuming that I'm not going to have to go into super broad terms of what is a fae. If you don't know that, you have Google. But
Yeah.
fae is fae is a fairy creature, right? And so changelings are fae creatures that have um, been left behind and have been forced to interact with the mortal world out of desperation. They are dreams given form. So the dreaming can be absolutely anything. The dreaming is a
Oh,
space
we
in
just got a
alternate.
Prime sub. Thank you. I think that's
Oh,
from
okay.
Russ.
All right.
You can't hear those things, so sorry.
No, I
But I
can't.
can.
There you go. That's all right. So they're dreams given form. So the dreaming can be anything, and the dreaming is where changelings come from, right? That's where Fae comes from specifically. But the dreaming is the summation of all of humanity's dreams, both beautiful and disgusting, both high and lofty and low and dirty. So it is everything that people have thought of over forever. So the dreaming is infinite. It's just anything you can possibly conceive of. And changelings are basically made of this stuff. So you have a dual nature. You are chimerical, which is the word they use for all things fey, all things dreaming, all things glamour infused, which is another thing I'll get into. Glamour is basically the energy that makes changelings function. It's
Fuels their
the
powers and such.
it fuels their powers, but it also fuels who they are, what they are. So their chimerical half, their changeling soul that has been emblazoned onto the human soul that they're a part of,
Yeah,
that chimerical soul runs on glamour. So
that's fair. Okay.
if you are completely deprived of glamour for long enough, you will actually die as a changeling. You need glamour to survive. It's like vampires and blood, right? You have to spend a blood point every morning when you wake up.
Right.
Changelings don't have to spend a glamour every morning, but they use if they use up their glamour and they have no more that they can bring in, they'll eventually starve out and die.
So
So
within that, when you
yeah.
say the changeling dies, because this is another one of my contention points, it is
Hmm.
that the changeling soul dies, but the person
Correct.
is totally fine. Given they may
Correct. Yes.
remember that they used to be something special and now they're not, but
And
it's
then a lot of times they don't even get that.
oh really?
The
Okay.
physical, yeah, I mean some of them do for sure, but a lot of times, especially considering depending on how long the person's been a changeling, the physical soul that the changeling soul was like imprinted onto, the physical person that used to be, before the changeling emerged, they will remember vague. things, but it's not like they just remember everything they were when they
I
were a
always
changeling.
assumed
Because
they remembered it the same way that you remember a dream when you wake up in the morning. That like it starts out
kind of,
strong, and the longer you're trying to hold on to it, the fainter it's going to get.
and that's a good way to describe it. And you could definitely run that in a game and wouldn't have any problem. The biggest problem is the mists, which I don't really have a bullet point for here, but the mists are basically banality eroding away at the glamour and the changeling world, and that's what makes mortals forget. That's like I forget what it is for werewolves that makes them forget. Um,
Oh,
uh,
it's like purple or something. God, what is it? I don't know why I know
um,
it's purple, but
it's purple. Yeah, I don't know about
it
that, but
might just be that the word in the book is in purple. Delirium.
delirium. Yes.
Yep, there it
So
is.
there you go. So yeah, in werewolf, there's the delirium where when they oh my god and freak out, bad happens, and afterwards they usually forget everything ever happened, right?
Right.
So the mists is basically the changeling version of that. So when people see that something that shouldn't quote unquote happens, then the mists is basically banality, like holding their head in their shoulder and saying shh, it's okay, it didn't really happen, and so that's how people cope.
Yeah.
um,
So that's another thing though that like doesn't that happen at all times? So they barely have to be careful because the mist will just sort of take care of the problem eventually.
It isn't that good. So like
Okay.
the myths are there, and they always hide the dreaming or anything connected to it from the eyes of mortals. So like the mist is why they can't see the dreaming realm, right? Near
Right.
dreaming, far dreaming, deep dreaming. The mist is what that veil is. But just like oops, sorry, I bumped a button.
Got so
Um,
excited.
but the myths are not perfect, and people can definitely remember things that they shouldn't remember. So it's kind of like again going back to another White Wolf, property. The masquerade is there to protect everybody, and people try to keep the masquerade going, and that's a function of vampires, actual efforts.
Right.
The mist is more of a supernatural thing, but just like the masquerade isn't perfect and stuff leaks out, and then they have to go and fix it. The mist sometimes people remember. It's a chaotic function. It's not reliable. So
Okay.
um, so they're all refugees and they're all displaced. They have no way back home. So changelings, they are being made of this glamour material, this magical creativity or magical emotion. They all have their souls like want to go back to Arcadia. And Arcadia is basically where they emerge from, where they exist naturally. So the Fae came to the world way back when, and eventually, and I'll get into this with the history a little bit, but eventually they all ran away when the Earth became inhospitable to their kind. But when they all ran away, they basically broke down all the roads and cut all the ties and said, "We're going to run away home, and everyone who was left behind, sorry, you're going to have to just deal or die." We're not. They just basically cut ties back to Arcadia, and that is really terrible because the only places that changelings feel at home, like they feel like their soul is at ease, is in a freehold or Arcadia. So, or Glens, which is another thing I can get into. But when they're just walking around, when they're at home, when they're just doing normal things, they always feel this pull, this yearning to go back to Arcadia, and they can never get there, which is part of what goes into the whole, as soon as you are created, as soon as you come into being, you feel a pull to a place that you can never get to. So you've already
See,
lost.
never heard this. Uh,
Yep.
yeah, I understood. Again, this is all from LARP, but I understood that Arcadia was the ultimate goal. That like the Sundering, I think is what it's called, right? Um,
That's
had
one of the events. Yeah.
okay, had separated everyone. They basically kicked everyone and everything out of Arcadia. But I was under the impression that the Sundering left no survivors. There weren't people still in Arcadia. It was like a dead kingdom that exists in the dreaming, but no one can get there anymore. Or at least it's like a journey of a lifetime to try to return to, that sort of thing.
So you're partially right in the fact that nobody can get there anymore, and it's a place kind of fallen into myth, but it is not empty. There are lots of true Fae that still live in Arcadia, and there are lots of I'll go over it more in the history section, but
Okay.
um, changelings want their like I said, their fairy portion of their soul wants to go back to Arcadia. They feel a pull towards it, and because that they feel that pull toward it, it's almost also evidence that it still exists and that it's calling to them, kind of thing. So, um, unfortunately, there all of the trods that would otherwise lead to Arcadia have been shattered and shut and are not available to get to. So
Okay.
yes, you can run entire games around, the whole like story from start to finish over a long period of time could be that you're trying to reforge a trod that leads to Arcadia to, get back in. Um, I think though that at the end of that game, it would be really depressing because after you made your trod and got all the way to Arcadia and found that the gates are shut and sealed and no one will open them for you or even answer your screams, would be the ultimate upsetting ending. So,
Dude, you know what that call like that gives me Hollow Knight vibes. That like there's a couple of people with extreme levels of power that are still in this kingdom that has been shattered, and all these people are trying to get in. Like that's basically the plot of Silk Song.
sure, sure. I didn't play Silk Song. I only played the first one.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah. Which the first one only fits better if everyone in that place is dead. There's a lot of people still
right.
alive in Silk Song inside the like place that everyone's trying to get to. They're just not cool anymore. They're not good.
Oh, okay.
They're
Right.
also not
They
really
they
like
have problems.
people anymore. Yeah, it's a whole thing. Anyway,
Okay.
so tell me about courts.
Yep. So basically, there are two courts that are in the base book. There's always, of course, strange, rare, mythical, errata source book stuff. But in any case, there are basically two courts. There are the Seelie and the Unseelie courts. So the Seelie are the structured court. Basically, they are like more honorable and they are more about the lofty goals of changing. They're the quote unquote good court,
Yeah,
and they're the ones that you will always see people playing that gave it the bad name of where basically they can be silly and bubbly and but they can also be honorable and oathbound and they don't have to be silly but that's those are the ones that kind of gave it the bad name
I
that it did is
I
because
always thought of them more as like Arthurian, where they actually have like knights and barons, and they have like a very rigid system of moving up and down in the like hierarchy. But the players generally were like knights or squires. Is that right? I try again. This
well
is all filtered
you're
through LARP,
Oh,
so
absolutely. Yeah, we're just friends having a chat, right? No,
yeah.
um, no, no. Again, you're sort of right. So, the Arthurian, like medieval high fantasy style, like kings and queens and knights and honor and fealty and all that. That is something that exists for all changelings. That is basically the where the changelings social strata left off.
Okay.
So that is for both courts, Sealy and Unsealy. However, because the Sealy are the more structured, the more honorable, the more, like I said, oathbound kind of people, they generally will pay attention to that stuff more than the unseelie courts do. So there are definitely unseelie knights and unseelie, kings and unseelie barons and whatever. But there are also more unseelie, modern rebels that are, just like, I don't care about any of that crap. I'm just a dude. I'm gonna go on the subway. Don't talk to me about Arthurian legend. So, um, they don't have to. They don't have to do any of it. It's just basically the social norm to have that medieval kind of flavor.
Okay.
So yeah, there's basically the good guys and the bad guys, if you want to look at it in the most basic sense. The Unseelie are a court of the end justifies the means. The court of like complete freedom, like anarchy almost. It's kind
Okay.
of like the Camarilla and the Sabbat a little bit, um, minus all of the like crazy blood ritual stuff
Yeah.
the Sabbat does. But it's
Which is, to be
but I mean
fair,
like
most of what the Sabbat is about.
but like as far as like the general flavor, right? Camarilla is structure, Sabat is freedom and chaos. So it's kind of where the flavors go as far as Seelie and Unseelie.
Yeah.
And they also have much different ways that they generally interact with mortals to get the glamour that they need to survive, which I'll go into a little bit later. But um, there's also the kith, right? Those are the kinds of changelings. So I said that they're made of dream stuff, right? And so there's a lot of different types of changelings out there, but they all, despite how they may look or how you may describe them, they fall into these kiths, which are um, they are like the classes, so to speak, of the game. So I'll just briefly touch on them. So you have boggins, which are they are like the happy home husband or housewife. They they are very friendly and generally can get people to. They're like social butterflies. They like rumors, they like gossiping, and they have a special power where when no one's observing them, they can do mundane tasks meaning like cooking or sweeping or building a chair or something like
Cobbling
that.
shoes.
Cobbling shoes. Yep. They can do that in one third of normal time. So they can just blitz through stuff. Um, so then there's the Ishu. The Ishu are kind of a Middle Eastern slash African style like flavor to them, and they are like the traveling bard, traveling storyteller, wandering sage kind of aspect. They
This
have
is wild, actually, because I
what the
so
go ahead.
Ishu is a primary spirit in some African traditional religions. They pronounce it Eshu. Uh, it
Oh,
is a
okay,
crossroads spirit that wears infinite hats. So like there is a type of
okay,
Eshu for everything. And that's
that's
wild
cool.
because I never made that connection. That like, oh, are these the same Eshu from Kimbanda and Candomblé? That's nuts. All right, sorry.
Yeah, I
And
I no
like
no that's cool. I had no
that
idea.
that is infinitely better to pour horror into than the elves that make shoes really fast at night because no one's watching them.
Yeah, yeah. And like I said, they you can play Changeling a lot of different ways. And if you don't if you want to play a completely Seelie Changeling that never does anything that is, critical, never does anything questionable, that's just happy go lucky and inspires glamour from people and is the, picture of a perfect gentleman, you can do that. So Boggins is just one example of way you can do that. But also you can play an unseelie bug. So, like, you don't need to do that. You can play any of these kiths, both quote unquote good or evil. They may, um, you know, migrate to one or the other more often than not. But all of them have two sides. They're just like people, right? You can have one person that is in one aspect of their lives and they're doing great and they're doing their best. Another person that just falls, the wrong direction. So,
Thanks
um,
for the follow, Devilish Siren. Sorry, David. We gotta do the
no,
streamer stuff sometimes too.
no, you interrupt me, please go ahead. It's fine. Um, so anyways, Ishu, right? They're travelers, they're storytellers, they have amazing sense of direction, exquisite timing. They always seem to arrive at their destination at the most opportune moments. That's basically their superpower. So they are supernaturally on time, and they show up just in the nick of time all the often. So they also have tailcraft, where basically they are master performers, and they're good with empathy. They're always the one who riddles the Sphinx and gets by kind of thing.
Okay.
Um, they're also reckless, though. They have confidence and curiosity are inborn traits in them, so they are always, you know, very proud and very sure of themselves, which sometimes is bad when they're wrong. So, um, then we have knockers. Knockers are like a
That's a favorite.
um, yeah, knockers are master artisans. So they craft things with gears and sprockets. If you can imagine like a crazy
Rube
fantasy machine that runs on milk or something, that's theirs. They did it.
Rube Goldberg
Um,
devices.
right, exactly. So they have powers where they can forge chimera. So basically, they can blast stuff into creation through the sheer power of their glamour.
Which has
And
led to
they
many
just
LARP problems.
which has led to many large problems. Yes.
Yes, I have dreams
Um.
of rocket-propelled grenades. That's what I dream about. Oh, look.
Ye- yeah. So again, we're talking about how people um they shouldn't be able to make rocket propelled grenades. They to create chimera, a knocker needs first glamour, raw chimerical matter material, right? And then they also need a machine shop of some kind.
Sure.
um, and then they make their roll and all that kind of thing. um, and so if with 5 successes at difficulty 5, a knocker can make a simple item like a door or a baseball bat. So that's not super easy, right? So uh, but if you have 10 or more successes at difficulty 9, you can result in large or highly complex like siege engines, semi-automatic knife throwers, so on.
Holy cow.
um,
Yeah,
but but
that
that's
suffers greatly from the LARP chop transition.
yes, yes. So like they can create stuff, sure, but it isn't just like they're like, oh, I'm gonna spend a glamour. I have fat boy.
Yeah.
So
I mean, which
it's not how it
again in
works.
LARP it's probably like, oh, you have to spend 8 traits, and it's like, yeah, I'll absolutely spend 8 traits for a fat man fucking rocket launcher that I have forever now. Yeah, yeah.
uh,
That's very different than, yeah, I mean, it goes from being almost impossible to, oh, I can only do it once a day.
the other thing to consider is that these things that they're making are chimerical in nature. So they're made of dream stuff. They're not physical reality. They can't make a gold bar and go sell it.
From what I
So
understand, they are chimerical until someone spends glamour, and then they're real for a little bit of time, right?
you can force things into reality for a
Right.
little bit of time. Yep.
So
Yep.
they're not real unless you spend a little bit of power, and then it's, my
It's real
dreamt.
for a minute.
A minute is all it takes when it's a fat man or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yes, yes. You're not wrong. That is a way around it. But I guess what I'm getting at is they can't forge things that are going to be permanent additions to their real world lives.
Right.
It's not. They can't be like, I'm gonna make myself a car. Whoop, now I can drive around in it forever. So there are some drawbacks to that.
Which
Um,
that actually leads me into another question that I have always had, because this is
mhm.
again a thing that has always confused me, and I feel like I never got a straight answer. So, and this kind of goes into the same thing for people who are like mediums and wraith. Um, so I have a chimerical car. I am
Yep.
dual natured. Therefore, that car is real to me. I can get into that car and drive it. Does that mean that the rest of me is just floating in the real world with making car noises?
So the short answer is yes.
Yeah, that's what
The
I was
the
afraid the answer was going to be.
the long answer is again, people are going to see that and start freaking out, and the mists are going to try to cover it up. But when 100 people see you driving down Main Street, floating in the air,
In an invisible Wonder
it's
Woman car.
right. It's going to cause problems. Yeah. So
So will the banality
yes,
just like strip that thing to nothingness and poof, it's
it
gone?
it will degrade it and break it down real fast. Yeah, especially if tons of people see it. So
So it's
because
almost like
banality is basically like acid
paradox.
to kind of yes.
Interesting.
Um,
Okay.
so yes, in the same manner as like if you are a changeling and you're walking through a bad part of town, and let's say you get accosted by a chimerical manticore or something. When the manticore picks you up in its jaws and starts biting you, it looks like to everybody who's a mundane, like your body was just lifted off the ground and then just started spouting blood. So it's not something that everybody else can see, but it's perfectly real to you and your body.
Do they track dreaming damage separate from real damage? I can't remember this.
That's an excellent question. I didn't get too far into systems since this was more just like an
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
overview. But I want to say that they do because you can, again, going back to kind of the in the very beginning, we were talking about when Famine dies and the
Right.
mortal body doesn't. You can totally get completely killed as a changeling, and the changeling part of yourself will die, and the mortal part of it will remain.
Okay.
So I would imagine they have to track the chimerical damage versus physical damage.
In my
So
head, I swear I see two damage tracks. But
yeah, I'm pretty sure you're correct. I just don't. I can't say with a certainty. Yeah, I'm looking at the character sheet now. So there's health, and then they have a real health. So
say that one more time. They had a real you cut out for a second. You had a real
oh
health
yeah,
and
I'm looking at the character sheet right now, and there are two health columns: a real and a chimerical health.
okay. Yep.
So
That
yes,
all right.
correct. So in actuality, going back to they would
Oh,
see the human body floating up into the middle of air, start screaming like they're being bitten in half, but there would be no physical damage that they could see to the crazy person who can levitate.
yeah.
So,
Okay.
so, yeah, going on. We got well, also the knockers can also fix things real good, and then their flaws are generally socially grumpy, nasty people, and so they have penalties on that kind of thing.
Yep.
Um,
They also
then
get
there, then there,
the big knock, right? That's where they could slap shit to make it work.
That's the fix it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they can fix things magically by being like, "Oh, it's broken. Come up here and I'll kick it," and then it starts working again. They have a magical fixing power. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. That involves swearing and beating it, which I think is hysterical.
Yes. Yes. They are grumpy, angry on almost universally. So then there's Puka. So Puka are the shapeshifters. They're the ones that can all shapeshift into some sort of an animal of their choice. That can be a falcon or a bird or a bear or whatever. Um, and they have a problem with lying. So all Puka have to lie. So not just want to lie or like to lie, but must lie. So they can make a willpower check to um, tell the truth if they need to for some reason. But the problem with that is that since they lie 99% of the time, when they do need to tell the truth, people don't believe them anyway.
It's the boy who
Uh,
cried wolf. See, but that feels
yep.
so unplayable.
So yeah, it can be a problem, but a lot of times, like they say in here, like Sealy Puka, who are trying to not be cruel, they will always say the opposite of what they mean to say. So lets people know, what they're trying to do. Um, but then there's the unseelie ones who sometimes they will, do that. They'll say the opposite of what they mean to say, but then just for shits and giggles, sometimes they will spend a willpower and tell somebody the truth for something, which then they'll eventually obviously flip around, and then something disastrous happens because
Right.
they took the changeling to always lie. So, um, uh, pukas also are innately people who other people want to talk to. They have a special power called confidant, where people innately will just start revealing things to them and like confide in them. So, supernaturally so.
Okay.
Uh, then you got red caps. So this is like
The
the
actual horror.
unseelie. Yeah, this is the unseelie changeling of choice for a lot of unseelies. So, red caps are the basic fantasy goblin creatures. They have sallow skin and pale complexions and big flat teeth, and they. Did I accidentally kill
Yep,
my
you sure
screen here?
did.
There we
There it
go.
is.
I think it. Yep. Sorry about that. I have the book that I'm also referencing, like right by my keyboard, so I bumped it. Sorry about
Okay.
that. So yeah, they have dark appetite, where basically they can literally eat anything they can fit their mouth around. Steel bar, a hamburger, somebody's arm, they can just bite through it. So
Yep.
as long as the red cap can fit their mouth around something.
Do you
Um,
know where they
large
first were mentioned in
red
actual
caps.
history? Yeah.
Weren't they like, weren't they dipped their caps in the blood of their enemies,
Yep.
and then
Uh,
they ate. I don't remember where the eating thing came from.
I think they just ate the victim because it was a red cap. I, I think
Right.
they turn because it's part of an Arthurian legend. It's like up there with the Green Knight. It's a horrible thing that happened where what a knight came across this guy and basically they saw that his cap was soaked in blood and then found all the bodies and then eventually the Arthurian knight struck the thing down.
Sure.
But
S- So,
yeah.
aside from being able to eat anything magically, they also have something called bully browbeat, where they are very intimidating, supernaturally so. So they can intimidate. Yeah. So in the book, to quote the book, red caps can intimidate anything, even imaginary or chimerical objects. So you're so intimidating, you can intimidate that spoon over there.
It's
So I
intimidating.
think that's kind of funny. Yeah, yeah, it's scared of you. It might thinks you might eat it. Um, so obviously, if as you might expect, red caps suffer from a bad attitude. So much like knockers, they have a social problem where they have a difficulty in social situations. Um, so then you got satyrs. Satyrs are your typical like pan-esque goat-legged forest faun style creature. Um, and their powers are they have something called Gift of Pan, which is basically they can stir mortals into passion. So anyone who fails their role basically is swept away by desires and
Yeah,
activities for the evening.
really disruptive at a LARP.
Yes, yes,
Really
yes.
horrible. All the time. Every chance they got.
Yep, that's again people that are horny bastards in real life. It's like I'm going to play a satyr, and I'm going to make you have to role play. Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
So, um, so yes, uh, and the thing that they don't really go into again in the tabletop book, they tell you that everyone involved, mortal or not, has the permanent banality lowered by one for as long as the satyrs continue to perform. So a lot of times it isn't really about the act or whatever, the sex or the drugs or the music or
Or
the
the rock
whatever
and
that they're
roll.
trying. Yeah, right. Whatever they're trying to inspire people to be passionate about. It's less about that and more that they're lowering the total banality of the area, which basically allows all other changeling magic to work better, um, and also makes changelings just in general feel better. So um, the side effect is almost the main purpose sometimes with for satyrs. Um,
Makes
they
sense.
also have they also have physical prowess. So satyrs are physically good specimens. They're strong or tough or fast. They
Usually
basically get
fast.
bonus points.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. So and then the frailty is that they have passion. So um, basically, passion has its unpleasant moments. So they are prone to mood swings, especially when they're drunk, and like with the
Which
slightest
is
of
often.
provocation. Yeah, with the slightest of provocation, they can go off on people, that kind of stuff. So now we're going to go into the she, which is one of the main characters, one of the main focal points of basically the Fey world, because she are the nobles, right? So going back to what you said about Arthurian or medieval style social strata,
Yeah.
she are the nobles, and everybody else are the commoners, so to speak. So she have the benefits of awe and beauty. So she get extra dots of appearance and character creation. They're very supernaturally so beautiful, majestic. In fact, the description says that they can also be so majestic that they're terrifying. So because your mind can't conceive of what it's seeing. Um, they also have noble bearing, where basically, funnily enough, any cantrip that would directly make them look foolish immediately fails. So they are supernaturally socially enabled. Um, and then the problem with she is that they're new to the changeling uh, deal, as far as they the she were like the true fae, so to speak. Well, they were all changelings were true fae, but she were later to the scene as changelings than all the other changelings. So they are more susceptible to banality than other changelings because they've been around it less in the total
Okay.
scheme of things. Um, then there's Slua. Slua are hidden in the shadows, dark, gothic. Then, although not necessarily, don't have to be gothic, but a lot of times portrayed as that in art. But they are um, basically they look kind of like spider people. In none of the legs or thorax or anything, but like they're thin and gaunt and pale, and they have huge black eyes, and they always talk in whispers.
Which
So.
is
Um,
super annoying in a LARP.
you keep going back to this, Dean. What do you
Dude, I'm
mean?
traumatized. I don't know what to tell you.
um, so yes, they are all very slim and bendy and stuff like that. So one of their birthrights is called a squirt, which basically they can dislocate body parts to like escape confinement or to like slip between bars of a jail cell. They are supernaturally bendy. Um, and then they also have sharpened senses. So they have basically the effect of like heightened senses from vampire, where they can, sharpen their sight or their whatever. Um, and the difference is the sharpened senses is always on. So that's a problem for them. They can't ever turn that off. Um,
Not well
and then they have
paired
the
with the
frail,
satyrs.
right? And then they have frailty of curse of silence, which is what I was saying. They can't speak above a whisper, no matter how hard they try. So moving
Super.
on,
Yeah.
we're almost there. This is the last one. This is trolls, all another LARP favorite.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
yep.
Total
so
bullshit.
so trolls are just what you think. They're big and tall and brawny and horned and all that good stuff. They are blue though, not green. The
Yep.
changeling world.
Superhumanly
Um,
strong.
Yep. And so they have the power of Titan's power. So they gain additional health levels and additional dots of strength. So they are tough and strong and big. Um, they also have stubbornness, which is basically when they give their word on something or when they believe in something. they get bonuses to when people try to convince them otherwise not to do it, not to not to believe in whatever it is. So they are hard to sway. And then their frailty is bond of duty. So, going back to what I was just talking about with the stubbornness, any troll who dares to renege on a sworn contract or oath becomes sickly and loses their Titan's power. And only atoning for the lapse can they regain their Titan's power. So basically, they have a curse where they can't break their word unless they want to have problems happen. So
Yeah. Which, I mean, the Titan's power is the thing that sets them apart, and it's ridiculous. The sudden burst of strength of I'm just a little guy, and then oh, I hit you with this car.
yeah, I'm gonna pick up this sledgehammer and cave you in,
Yep.
split you in half with a sword. Um, so those are the Kith. There's, of course, like I said, always being White Wolf being White Wolf. There's always other secret hidden stuff. I'm sure there's some source book somebody knows somewhere that there's more. But
Which I this is one of the again the few games where I couldn't tell you a single one of the splat books that exist for it.
I'm positive
Oh,
they're
dude,
out there.
I've seen the shelves full. I know that they exist, but yeah.
So um, that's the different kinds. So I'll briefly less of kinds. And again, I'm just going to go over the broad strokes. So there's chicanery. So chicanery is it's an art of deception and illusion and that kind of stuff. So it
Mhm.
deals with altering perceptions of people or making yourself invisible or
Being able to
you can
steal anything.
making people forget things, or um, you can fan emotions in people. So it's all like manipulation stuff, right?
Yeah.
The pinnacle power is called captive heart, where the um, the target of captive heart becomes pliant to the caster's commands, and his personality can be completely changed with a few words. So basically, it's like super dominate on
Yeah.
one thing. Um, so then you have the next power is called legerdemain. Legerdemain was a also a fairly popular one. It is also an art of sleight of hand illusion.
Maybe
I
Legerdemain is
guess
the one
it's
I'm thinking of that allowed you to steal anything you could see.
yeah. Well, yes. Chicanery, I guess, is more. Maybe I misspoke a little bit when it's illusion. Chicanery is more like deception and emotional
Yeah.
manipulation, whereas legerdemain is more sleight of hand and illusion, more specifically. So, um, like you can, it allows you to like telekinetically control things. You can cause things to fly around. You can ensnare something. You can create duplicates of objects or people that are like physical, um, that are, they're not real, but they're convincing.
Yeah.
They're like a physical illusion. Um, what you're referring to is something called mooch, which is the supernatural pickpocket power.
Yeah.
Um, which, again, as you were saying in a LARP, right? I have this
A fucking
magical acid
nightmare.
etched katana. Bit Benner, if you're watching, I'm
It-
sorry.
yeah, I have
Uh,
a stack of these custom
yeah,
gripped acid etched katana.
right. And so people would mooch all of the magical items off people and then get themselves beaten up in a corner somewhere.
Yeah. Oh,
Um, so then there's the last one, the pinnacle power is phantom shadow. Um, so that is basically phantom shadows creates original illusions and engenders them with sentience. So you basically create illusions that are quote unquote real in the fact that they think and feel and are
yeah.
alive,
And the
so to speak,
illusion believes that it is the thing. That's the most
and it's
important
alive.
part.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
It is for real the thing. Yeah.
right. So even if you use a power that detects lying, it isn't lying. It does believe that it is the thing.
Right. Exactly. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. So then you got primal. So primal is the power of elemental affinity, right? So
Primal is the power of dealing ag to people.
You're so jaded. You're so jaded. Uh,
You knew I would be going into this.
oh, I know. Oh, I know. I know. I know. I know. So, so primal is basically you have creating fire, and you can create elements to appear other than fire too, water, earth, wood. But in most cases, like he was talking, create fire. You
Silver,
got
whatever, it's just whatever you got around.
so it says fire, water, earth, air, or wood.
Oh, it
So
does.
it doesn't say anything about silver.
Oh, of course, I'm sure there's some bullshit splat book for somebody
Oh,
that's
I'm
like,
sure.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, if you have this level of primal, then you can conjure anything you could dream of.
so so yeah, then they got Oaken Shield, which lets you get protective, basically like armor. You got Heather Barm or Holly Strike, which is where the ag came in. Which is like you can heal people with Heather Balm, and the Holly Strike is you basically hit people with you turn glamour on into ag fire and throw it at people. Um,
And you get
and
an ag,
then
and you get an ag, and everyone in the scene gets an ag.
well, that's going into realms, which
Yeah,
we
we'll
going
get
into in
there,
just a
because
minute.
that's
But
the
yeah,
real bullshit of Changeling.
bullshit. That's why part of their what makes them unique and interesting.
Yeah,
But
unique,
anyway,
interesting, and unbelievably powerful.
so elder form is the last part of primal, and that's basically polymorph self. So you can just become another thing, even if that thing is like a dragon, and you can just be like, "Yep, I'm a dragon now for real."
For real,
Um,
real.
yep, for real, real.
Not for play play.
So yep, and then everybody loses their mind, and the mists rip in half, and yeah, it's
And you
it's
can
it's
breathe
not good.
fire because you have the earlier versions of Primal.
That's right.
Yeah,
So then we got soothsay. So soothsay is divination, pretty much straight up.
yeah,
So there's all kinds of different things. So you can get omens. You can tilt probability in your favor or against somebody else. Um, you can do like magical scrying, where you can remote viewing kind of thing.
yeah.
They have also have augury, which is they can. Uh,
And
just
then you
I
can
don't know
ask,
augury offhand.
you can ask questions to the world, and it will give you a vague
Yeah,
response.
yeah, right. Yeah, it. That's pretty much exactly it. Yep. And then they have their biggest one is Fate Fire, which is basically many people have little contact with the den. Blah 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 blah. Casters of Fate Fire can speed up the process and bring a person's fate to manifest sooner for good or ill. So, like, if you were one day fated to fight a dragon, they're like, "No, that day's today, son." Bam.
Dragon.
So yeah, then we're getting to the end here. I
It's
think
gotta
there's just
be hard
a
on the storyteller too to
couple
be
more.
like, I'm gonna fate fire this guy, and you're like, I don't know this fucking dude. I don't know what he's fated to do. What if he's fated to just be an asshole?
Right? Yeah. But I mean, if you used earlier powers in the thing and like looked into what his fate, because you wouldn't just use Fate Fire and for
Right.
no reason, right?
Yeah, but
So
it,
you already have earlier on figured out what he's fated to do.
yeah,
So
that's already become the storyteller's problem, is what you're saying.
right prior, yes.
They use a much easier power to ruin your time.
So then we got Sovereign. Sovereign is basically social manipulation, majesty style.
Yeah,
I'm supernaturally attractive or whatnot.
scary
So,
or whatever. Yeah,
yep, yep. So you got protocol, which is basically enforces people to act with etiquette around you. So you can make somebody who's pissed off at you, act with etiquette. You got dictum, which is makes people enforces the power of authority and command. So the target is simply unable to disobey the requests of the caster.
yes.
um,
These are all
yep.
LARPing nightmares.
Then you got grandeur, which is basically changeling majesty.
Yeah, at
Everybody.
level 3, they get
Yep. Yep.
fucking majesty.
It's not. It's not as powerful as majesty. it just makes, again, it makes people, like, you get social bonuses and people can't insult you, and they
or
feel
attack
they feel
you.
the right, yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that we'll
Um,
call that majesty.
well, it's easier
It's
to
easier
get
to
over
break.
than Magister
Okay.
is. Yes, I believe it's basically they just spend a willpower and then they can act normally.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's not that bad. But because they can do a willpower roll, blah blah blah. This can't trap. So it looks like they do have to spend a willpower or do a willpower roll every time. So like each time they make an attack. So eventually
I
you
think that
would get
is
somebody to burn out.
almost verbatim majesty though. I think you get the
Is it?
same.
Okay.
I'd have to look, and I'm gonna pull this up while you're going on to the next one. But if I
Okay.
recall correctly, I was outraged when I discovered that. Where's
They
my?
get such a powerful
Yeah,
ability.
yeah.
Um,
Anyway, continue. Sorry.
yeah, going on. So no, it's okay. So the next one is Weaver Ward. So um, that is something that prevents the door or entranceway from being passed. So it's like a magical barrier kind of thing. Um, and there's a bunch more other things you can do with it too, but that's like the gist. Is you can put a magical barrier or lock on stuff. And then the pinnacle power for that one is what I think truly horrifying powers. I mean, of all the powers in this book, is the Gaius or Geesh. I forget how the proper
I think
pronunciation, but
Geesh is technically
um,
correct, but yeah, it's been.
yeah. So yeah, the Geesh or ban is supernatural dictation on somebody else. So basically, you can just be like, you are now tasked with, killing the president. And so then they would have to do every single thing they possibly could do to accomplish that or suffer horrible consequences. I think they just take like damage every day until they do it or something like that. It is not good. And then there's also the or ban. So with ban, it's the opposite. It's you can't do this thing ever, forever. Just no.
Dude,
Until and if you
opening this book and looking at the PDF, I can smell this book.
oh yes, absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
like I
Like
that's oh
musty,
boy.
right?
Yeah.
Brings back memory.
Yep.
Um so then the last one for the arts are Wayfarer. And Wayfarer was another one in effect can give you things like celerity, right? So um Wayfarer, you got hopscotch, which is like you can leap super far. Um, you got Quicksilver, which is multiple actions per turn kind of thing. You got Portal Passage, which lets you make portals that can connect to locations. And then you got, or actually,
Yeah, this is
um,
another one that like shatters things in LARP. So Majesty, just to throw it out
mhm,
there, you activate Majesty by spending a willpower. Any subject that wishes to be rude or contrary must make a courage roll, the difficulty of charisma and intimidation of the Majesty wielder.
okay,
So,
yeah,
courage unique to vampire, so technically you could only ever have 5 dice to roll with
sure,
that. So that's kind of interesting. What it says, if you succeed, you can act normal for a single turn.
okay. So, I mean, it's kind of equivalent then, yeah, because I mean,
Uh,
people have to do willpower roll,
yeah, actually,
engage the
willpower
changeling,
roll would be much more advantageous. Um,
because you can have up to
yeah,
10.
although
But
in vampire, your courage, your willpower is equal to your courage at character
well,
creation.
willpower is yeah, and in LARP even, if I remember correctly, willpower was like you got 2 or 3, and that was normal. So,
Yeah. Anyway, it
but
it
again,
is
then again,
full
yeah.
on majesty.
But in LARP, it was different rules too. But I can't.
Yeah.
I'm obviously we're not getting into that.
Right.
But yes, it is. It is powerful for sure.
Yep.
Um,
Hopscotch is that the name of the actual art is hopscotch, or is that the first tier?
yes.
Okay.
Oh no, the art is called Wayfair. The
Wayfair.
first tier is called Hop. Yeah, the
Wayfair
first one
is
is called Hopscotch.
complete bullshit from top to
Okay.
bottom. every one of those powers, once you get even a little bit into realms, you can end anything you come across. It's ridiculous. It's redonkulous.
Depending on how you're geared, it can be very powerful. Yes,
One
it's true.
point of art and 7 realms. You can kill anything that can't fly.
That's you have to get remember it's all based on successes. So it's not like you're throwing people, into the moon without good successes. So but
Again, yeah, that goes
yes.
back to LARP where success just means you spend a trait and it's not that big of a deal. And it goes back from this is almost impossible to do to I can only do this once a night.
Because I'm going to just throw everything at this one
Right.
thing and be
And then, like,
the
you're
rest.
fucked.
Yeah.
You're fucked. There's nothing you can do.
But
How does the
yes.
moon
So
taste, bitch?
yes. So the maximum amount of hopscotch, like at 5 successes, is 10 stories straight up.
Yeah.
So
Yep. Which is
yeah, that
fatal.
it's not good.
Yeah, it's
No,
not
it's
good.
bad. um. So anyway, yes, you got hopscotch, which is a super far jump, and then you got quicksilver, which is multiple actions. Portal passage, which you make a portal in something, but it isn't. I was just reading it, so it's not like portal A, portal B. You move between them. It's literally like an Acme portal where I'm gonna throw a hole on this thing and then walk through. So,
But that
um,
means okay. So just so we're all on the same page,
yep, yep.
tier one is throw something super far that you can see. You don't have to touch it or anything. You can see it and it's gone. Power two is celerity. All of celerity.
No, not all of celerity. Jesus.
Most
Um,
of celerity. Power three is the invention of the fucking portal gun.
it is. I'm going to make a hole in the thing that doesn't.
Yes, I'm gonna
Yes.
make a hole in the thing, like the floor that you're standing on, and then I'm gonna say where that hole exits, like the top of that skyscraper.
So see, no, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You don't get an exit. It is literally. I'm going to make this much matter of this disappear. So you could make a portal underneath somebody, and they might fall. Let's see, what's the 8
See,
feet is the maximum.
Lundeen
So you could make
says,
somebody fall 8 feet down.
okay, Lundeen is in the chat and says, I remember when
Yep.
Scott hopscotched someone into orbit and used the Animaniacs
Yes.
Countries of the World song as a bunk.
He did.
That's
Absolutely did. And that's how he got a
bullshit!
5 point bunk.
Oh,
yeah.
but thank God he sung a song
And
about
like
it, so it cost him nothing.
so it didn't cost him it didn't cost him nothing. He did use I think he used Quicksilver to give himself like extra actions so that his character could actually sing the country song in enough time in the combat to make it worthwhile for it the hopscotch effect to take effect. And
Well,
then he
thank God
actually
he had 2 levels of a power.
well, right, right. Well, like you said, realms are also where it's at too, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
he had to have the realms to target the person that he was doing it to, and I don't remember even who he did it to either at this point.
Oh, I
But
bet Lundeen
um,
remembers. Unless it wasn't him, But that's yeah, yeah. And usually with these stories, because like God, dude, if we got people on here to talk about old LARP, we could fill
it would
novels
be some
full of
time.
this insane shit.
Yep,
But it usually,
yep.
whenever these things happen, it's always to like the same 4 people.
there were people who were always making new characters constantly because they were
Yeah.
stirring the pot
Oh
and
yeah.
kicking people in the knees and yeah, yeah,
And I was one of those
absolutely.
people. So
Anyway,
probably
so
a hit
yeah.
mark. Jesus Christ. God,
The
that's
last
the highest LARP. Sorry, continue.
the last power in the thing, the pinnacle power is Windrunner, where you basically gain flight. So,
Yeah, because
or no, that's no, not wait, no, that's level
that's
four.
level
The one on
4,
the next
yeah.
page is
I'm sure
Flicker.
level
Yeah,
5 is
Flicker Flash.
complete utter
Yeah.
bullshit too.
Okay, so Flicker Flash is the one where you can basically you can go where you want to go. Um,
It's
Flicker
teleport, right?
Flash, the change.
It's like Dimension
Yeah,
Door
you can.
from D&D.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, pretty much.
yeah.
Yes, yep, yep.
Which actually, there's
So,
a Are You Afraid of the Dark episode that is about a changeling. The whole premise of the show is this guy is running a play, and in the play he has to convince this character to drink this magic juice and say this spell in order to change them into a fairy so that they can escape into the Feywild in the play. And what he discovers as the episode is going on is that the guy who's doing this is getting him to do this act 9 times. And upon the ninth time of him doing this, drinking the potion, saying the spell, he'll literally turn into, I think it's like a frog or something. And then the changeling can basically eat that kid's soul. And one of the
oh,
rules, when he eventually finds this like leprechaun dude who's explaining to him that the thing he found is an awful monster that's trying to eat his soul, he said like you can't look away from it because if you move or if you look away from it for even a second, it can go anywhere and you'll never find it again. Like it can teleport basically. So I
it
don't know.
sounds very changeling. Yep.
Yeah. And like dude, that is a cool plot that you could run but has no bearing in this system. But in Changeling the Lost, that could be a perfect thing. Like the soul eating, because like changelings don't actually, I guess, to unseelie changelings eat souls. Can you devour someone's dream or
You absolutely can totally eat people's creative soul, so to speak,
okay?
in the game, and I'll get into that
All
in
right,
the in.
let's
So we're almost done with all the basic stuff, and then we
yeah.
can get into more of the discussion. The meat and potatoes of what you probably are, but I'm just
I'm
trying to
just
give people a
having
basic idea of what.
PTSD from LARP is all. It's
All right, so the realms. I'll briefly go over this. There are 6 realms. There's actor, nature, fey, prop, scene, and time. So the realms are what modify the arts. So the realms, depending on how much you have of a certain realm, you have to buy the realms like you do buy or anything else in these games. You can affect more and more and more of the relative object or thing, so or a people.
it's
So,
a
for
threshold
example,
too, right? Like if you don't have
you get everything
Fey, you
below.
cannot hopscotch a Fey.
Oh, yes, correct. Yes,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you. These are what you can target with your art
Yeah,
or
unless you
with
can
your arts. Yeah,
describe the thing with a realm, you can't interact in art with it. So it's
correct.
like
Yes,
super important. But the more
yep,
realm you have, the more you can affect a thing. And it goes from
yes.
hopscotching a dude to him and all of his extended family.
Yes. So, like, I'll go over the level ones.
Sure.
I'll go down the line so you can the basic feel of everything, and then you'll see how it gets out of hand. So, uh, actor level 1 is a well-known, confident buddy, a true friend. That actor is anybody who's not Fey, any living creature, any cognizant creature that's not Fey.
Yeah, which this is
Um,
one of the like power limiters on it is that
mhm.
to affect enemies for anything, it's usually pretty high level, right?
Yeah, so the to affect an enemy that you don't know and you've never met, like a random person that comes up and mugs you,
Yeah.
it is actor 5.
Right.
So
So, I mean, in that's pretty big, but again, you get Faye 3 and Actor 5 and you're good to go.
if you want to be able to target all the peoples, yes.
Yes.
So but yeah, it, I guess I'll just go one at a time, and that way I won't muddle things. So you have the level 1 is True Fen, then Personal Contact, then Familiar Face, then Complete Stranger, then a Dire Enemy. So it's level one is a well-known, confident buddy. Level two is you had a long conversation with this person and you know his name. Level three is you recognize his face, but you do not need to know his name. Level four is you need no information. The person cannot be your enemy. And then level five is the person must be your enemy or in competition with you. A gaming friend falls into this category. So yeah, the person who comes up and mugs you on the street,
Is
you
a
can't
4.
affect with your arts. And huh?
Is a 4.
No, it's a five because if he's a mugger, he's an enemy.
I thought 5 was enemy, or 4 was enemy, and 5 is
Four,
like,
no.
and
So four is you need no information person, but the person cannot be your enemy.
oh, okay. I thought it
That's
was
four.
like, yeah, I thought 5 was describing someone that like you are a mortal enemy with.
No, no.
Okay.
Five is basically the person you're targeting is an enemy. So
Yep. Okay.
yeah.
And realms, if I
So then
recall, were relatively cheap. They're not
they're
like
cheaper than
dirt
arts.
cheap, but
They're
yeah,
Yeah. I want to say they cost kind of like the same skill as skills, if I remember
yeah,
correctly. So less expensive, but not like super cheap.
yeah,
Um, so then I'm going to jump to Fey, which is Fey is targeting Fey creatures, right? So also Chimera, also True Fey, also anything in the dreaming
yeah.
sphere.
Anything with a
So,
dual
so
soul or made of dream stuff.
yep, yep. So level one is a commoner changeling.
Oh
So
my god, is
basically
it
anything that isn't a
literally by
she.
rank? That's crazy.
Level level two is a changeling noble.
Oh
Yeah,
my
anybody
god.
who's a changeling noble. Yep. So level three is manifold chimera. So anything that's a chimerical creature or an item, you need
This
level
is
three to
you're
target.
like, oh god, it's items too.
Anything chimerical, yes,
Yeah, but like,
yes,
wow. Okay.
yep.
That
So then
raises so many more questions, and I assume the answer is you have to have both. Because I thought prop was any physical thing, even if it had. But I imagine the answer is if it's both, then you have to have both prop and fey.
so prop is it's any objects that are A, not natural, and B, crafted from human, read not changeling, hands.
Yeah,
So if it's crafted, if it's chimerical and or chimerical and it's something crafted by Fey hands, like a knocker's crafted chimerical thing, that's under Fey, not
yeah.
under prop.
Well, this gets into the weirdness, and again, this is the thing I've never fully understood, so maybe you can explain it to me. Is from what I remember, is that there was a physical object that you had to tie chimerical things to. So I have a ball peen hammer that I keep in my back seat, but in reality, it's actually a war maul because I'm a troll. The ball peen hammer and the maul are technically the same thing, but when the troll holds it, he uses it as a war maul or whatever because he can activate its chimeric side.
So yes, to a certain extent, that's true. Normally, things are more close to their chimerical thing than they are to like a pen that's a warhammer is less. I would, as a story, if I were running the game, I would question that. I would be more like, hey, this gardening hoe is really a warhammer. You know, it
Sure.
has to be of a similar size
Okay.
category, so to speak. Um, but yes, chimerical objects generally have a physical uh, um, tie-in, so to speak, but not always. Like for example, chimerical beasts. Like if you ran into a manticore in the near dream,
Yeah.
that doesn't have a physical representation
Right.
of that thing. So um, things that changelings interact with or create a lot of times are dual natured in that aspect. But there are definitely things that are completely made of dream stuff and don't have any real world counterpart.
Okay.
So the level four is elusive Ghislaine. So basically, it's usable on all Fey categories above. So Nuhene, the Native American, inanimate or anything else unexplainable but related to the dreaming, is level four. And then level 5 is Dwemer of Glamour. Anything composed of glamour. So you can
Okay.
target cantrips, you can target treasures,
Yeah.
dross, anything that's made of dream stuff. So
That's when it gets real confusing.
yeah, because then you can be like, oh, you're gonna cast that art. I'm gonna steal your art and I'm gonna put it over
Yes.
or stuff like that. You can
Yes.
get really weird. Yep.
Yep.
So then the other ones you have nature, which is covering natural phenomenon, plants, trees, animals, that kind of thing.
Right.
And then you got prop, which is physical objects, like we were talking about.
Yeah.
So
But apparently made by man's
tools and
hand or whatever.
right, yeah, anything that's not natural and crafted from human hands.
Yep.
Right. So like it starts at things like clothing, rings, and even tattoos at level 1, which is I think is kind of interesting.
And horrifying.
Um, because the level 1 object level quote unquote objects commonly worn, so that includes clothing, rings, tattoos, contacts,
Yeah.
glasses,
Which goes
hairbands,
back
and
into the I can't hopscotch you, but I can hopscotch the jeans that you're sitting in. So your ass is still
absolutely
going
yes.
10 stories in the air.
Absolutely, yep, unless those jeans rip or something, but yes,
Right.
yep. um and so level 2 is crafted tool, which is an item with no movable parts. Pretty simple, right? Level 3 is an item with movable but not needing fuel. So any kind that's mechanical but not electronic or
Or car or
powered
whatever.
by
Yeah.
gas or whatever. And then level 4 is complex machine, which is a single item with movable, sometimes electronic components, but with an easily understandable mechanism. So like a toaster oven, a car, which again, 20 years ago when this was written, cars were not what they are now. I would think that cars would no longer fall under that, but
Depends on
um,
the car.
printing, I suppose, yeah, if you target a
Yeah.
1970s car, for sure,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
Versus all electric space car.
right,
Space
and
car.
then level 5, and then level 5 is arcane. So any crafted item not listed above, often with complex components. So computers, satellites in space, anything like
Satellites in space. Boy, that brings back another memory.
that. Yep, yep. I thought it might. Uh,
Yeah! Thing like a kinetic strike from space.
so yeah, nature. I'll just briefly run through those. It's pretty simple. You have first unliving organic matter, rope, paper, stone, etc. If it's inorganic, steel, etc., it's not of this realm. So it's got to be plant stuff or animal stuff. So meat would also be part of that, I would imagine.
Meat. Oh, thank
That's right.
God. They just eat meat. Hey, kid, you're made of meat. Oh my
No,
God.
unliving it says. Unliving.
Okay.
Uh, so level 2 is verdant forest. So living organic plant material, not animals.
Right.
And also, you wouldn't be able to target a person with nature because it's deliberately plants and animals, not people.
Yeah.
But um, so level 3 is feral animal, living non-sentient animals. So self-aware animals are governed under actor, it says, which is interesting. Um,
Huh.
so
Okay.
you couldn't target maybe Coco the uh,
Signing gorilla.
gorilla.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep.
Man, there's
Um,
talk about horror. Oh, some of the stuff that gorilla has seen. Oof.
so then you got level 4, which is natural phenomena. So weather, volcanic eruptions, earthquake, etc. So you can target those with your spells, which is interesting. And then level 5 is base element. So governs natural carbon-based elements or the traditional four: fire, water, earth, air. Um, so those are all the basic targeting things. Now we get into the two realms that really make stuff get real fast. And that is scene and time.
Yes.
So
The bullshit ones, as
scene
we like to call them.
So scene is basically you can add scene to any of the spells or arts, as you call them, and it will change the area of effect. So you can say level 1, which is chamber, up to 25 square feet. So at level 1 with actor 5, you could take every enemy within 25 square feet and apply whatever thing you're casting to them. So things
Yep.
get multiplicative and crazy real quick. So level 2 is cottage, and then it goes house, park, and kingdom. So it goes from 25 square feet to 200, 750, 2,000, or 50,000 square feet at the maximum amount,
Yes.
which is utterly
Bullshit.
insane. I agree.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, is just like mind boggling.
So,
But
you
again,
remember
you
in
go ahead.
Exalted when I cast that spell that made everyone who had a fealty to something fall down?
Hmm.
Yeah. Every vampire in the city falls down and their feet are slippery. Oh, I just need these 7 points of realms, and here we go. I guess technically you need 10 points, but it's not outside the realm of possibility. That's for damn sure.
So, yep, yeah, scene is bonkers. I won't even argue that one.
Right.
Um,
Hey! Should we put a little
um,
David Dean score thing in here? I'm gonna
and then you
add it.
got time. So time is one that's also kind of crazy. It allows the caster to set a delay on cantrip casting.
Mm-hmm.
Should she cast the cantrip, leave the area, and then expect the cantrip to cease without her being present. Number of dots determines how long they can delay that can be set, and the difficulty modifier applied to the casting. So this is what allows people to become the Unibomber. They basically can do some horrible casting and then just walk away, and if nobody understands what the hell just happened, blew up or changed horribly, and yeah, they can set the delay anywhere from one turn at level 1 all the way up to 1 month at level 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
It's again. All right, I have put a scoreboard on the stream now.
oh my goodness, okay.
You guys can tell me if that is accurate. I believe that is the current score. Um,
Well, I can't see it, and it's probably for the best. So,
yeah, you have to actually open the stream in another window, but for the love of God, mute it.
oh sure, no, it's no, that's fine. So all right, so now I'm gonna get into gist. So even people who's never played Changeling before, you get an idea of what these things are. They're
Yeah,
magical dream creatures. They can vastly powerful things on wide scales and affect lots of different things at once. They're very unique in that way. A lot of other creatures in the World of Darkness, I think, save Mage, can't really affect mass amounts of stuff like they can. Um,
they definitely can't do
so,
it twice.
well, I mean, fair, fair. Um, I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah,
Um, you can do it once. It's like that. I
yeah,
forget. There's the joke about the trick where some saws himself in half, right? And then,
yeah.
oh, that's the greatest trick in the world. He can only do it once.
Yeah.
Um.
Yep. Looney
All
Tunes.
right. Yeah. All right. So we're gonna go into the history of the Thay. This is something that a lot of people kind of overlook and don't really think about very much. So hopefully I'll learn you something. So
Sure.
first, we'll start with the Mythic Age, and I call it the soup because it's basically the time. It's like biblical time. It's before we had written word, before or when we did have written word that was kept. There weren't histories that were really of this time. It's all ancient and out of memory, and before any kind of modern record keeping.
Okay.
In this time, the Fae, they were Fae at that point, um, walked among mortals, and they guised themselves with glamour to make themselves look like normal people, and they plucked the energy from humans as glamour to feed themselves, and they thought it was just a clever game and an escape from Arcadia for a day. Go mess with the mortals.
Go
Um,
mess with the
they
mortals.
Right. And they were a lot of times they were seen as gods and fantastical creatures. They had it made basically. They were in control, and everything was peachy keen. That's the changeling dream of going back to the mythic age.
Okay.
So then you have the Sundering. So this is where stuff started to get interesting. So basically, the Sundering was kind of along with the Iron Age. So humans learned how to craft durable weapons that could cause grievous harm to both mortal and immortal foes, because iron is bad for changelings. Um, so they eventually, became settled into communities, and they were able to surround themselves with houses of, and reality was kind of like, oh, hey, these guys are doing their thing, and now all of a sudden the dark isn't so scary because you have fire and knives and light. And so some of the fear of humankind from the big bad in the night
Mm,
dwindled a little bit. And then in the daytime, they were like, instead of hunting and foraging for food and trying to figure out what they were going to do, they were like, hey, we can farm, and we have bows and arrows, and we can go defend ourselves against the big bads in the woods. So humans basically got their feet under them. Like, we have a handle on this thing. And so now the wild imagination of humanity was starting to get more faith, basically faith in itself. Instead of it
right.
being the domain of gods and mystery, it was, oh no, I know how to do this. Look, let me show you.
Yeah.
First, you just got to grab this tool over here. And
Enter
so,
in science, essentially.
right. Yep, yep. And so then Fae were like, "Oh no, this is not good." Um, and the establishment of the Inquisition in 1230 brought to the Sundering to its culmination when the church's doctrinal purists sought to eliminate all undesirable supernatural elements, including fairies, from the world. So all of a sudden, Fae, when anybody was thought that they were a Fae, they were getting, stabbed to death or hung or burned alive or what have you. And in sometimes that wouldn't bother the Fae too much, because they would, their they would just get some non iron damage, and they would go and go, oh crap, and fuck off back to Arcadia. But when people are using iron on them, they could actually for real die. And so changelings were, or I'm sorry, Fae at that point were um, coming to realize that this was a big problem. So the next thing is the shattering. So basically, eventually, the threads that connected the dreaming with the mortal world stretched because of all this banality, which is, I haven't really described banality. Banality is the mundane, the non supernatural, the non magical. It is the scientific, the understood, the normal,
The
and that is
modernity.
that's the bane of changelings, right? When you can explain how the stars in the sky work to changelings, and it's not just the magical dots up there that are whimsical, that hurts physically to changelings. So um, the shattering is basically, it is like a cataclysmic event. But in actuality, the changeling, or in changeling, the shattering describes small catastrophes that one by one, the gateways that linked Arcadia with the mortal world started to grow brittle and crumble, sealing off access to the dreaming at their particular touch points. Um, so a lot of it happened. The big fat bad that happened for the shattering is Black Plague in 1347. It's kind of like the catalyst for the shattering. 75 million people throughout Europe, including one third of the population of England alone, they died to this disease. And the wave of fear and despair that washed over the world at this time echoed across the entirety of reality.
See,
The human
that's
world.
where I get confused because that
Mhm.
that to me should be the exact opposite of something that would hurt the changeling. That goes back
So
to here's the thing we don't understand. It hunts people and kills them in a way that they're horrified of, and people think it's magic because no science can touch it.
So the fear and stuff would have brought glamour into the world, because fear is just as much of a glamour as love,
Sure.
or of a magical thing. So that's how the unseelie get their glamour. So the fear of the plague certainly would be a way that you could produce glamour. But with the shattering, the gateway after gateway of these roads to Arcadia were crumbling and into nothing or splintered into thousands of slivers. And so the way back home for a lot of Fae were disappearing. And um, they were retreating into places of power like freeholds and fairy glens and that. Basically, it was the Fae realizing um, they were not going to be able to stay as they are. Like, think it was there's a problem, and we are going to this work. Um, so a lot of the most of the Shi, with only a very few handful of them, fled to Arcadia through the remaining gates. And in some places, there were big battles that took place over crumbling portals. You know, it's like kind of the apocalypse that I was talking about before. Everybody is abandoning ship and going back to Arcadia before they won't be able to get there anymore because all the roads are disappearing.
But it doesn't.
And so,
It
go
doesn't
ahead.
specifically say why the plague had this effect. Like, just because the changelings couldn't
So
like run around the city anymore.
So the reading from the book here, it says Loris, the outbreak of the Black Plague in seven as the catalyst to the shattering. Blah 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 blah. The wave of fear and despair that washed over the world at this time echoed across the mists. 14th century, the human world suffered pangs of a new era. The prophets of reason, whose efforts could result in the Renaissance and the genesis of modern scientific theory, thought to rationalize away mysterious and such as pandemics. The common folk took refuge in religion, road beliefs in the supernatural, for which was a
Okay.
comfort given to them by the church.
So
So
it's
basically, because
less the Black
everybody
Plague and more the Age of
and
Enlightenment.
more, well, it's the Black Plague was the catalyst because when it with everybody dying, people, and so when they were looking for answers, people were like, oh, turn to religion, turn to science. These are your answers. The answer isn't putting a bowl of unspoiled milk on your window. That doesn't do anything. You have to learn. Here's our real answer.
Right.
Real answer. We're not fantasy, not
Okay.
fairy, not magic. So
Yes.
that's
The
kind
birth
of
of the
where they.
technocracy.
What'd you say?
I said I think that's also the birth of the technocracy.
Maybe I don't know about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's basically the reason why the Black Plague didn't cause the shattering, but it is what caused people to start turning more towards human answers for mythical problems.
Yeah. Human
So
centric answers became the problem because now there isn't room for myths and legends.
right.
Which makes
So
sense to me way more than. Yeah, okay. Alright. I'll
so
concede that point again. Now you're ahead.
oh, okay. Um so yeah, they're all abandoning ship, go into Arcadia, and roads crumble. The commoner kith, such as like Ishu Troll, etc., they were trapped in the mortal world now. They're left behind by these panicked nobility that ran and abandoned, went to Arcadia, and basically didn't try to even hold the doors open, even if they could have.
Yeah.
They were just like, we're abandoning these roads, or fuck it, let's all escape to Arcadia and leave. Um, so then after that, that's when like changeling, so to speak, true changelings started to come into effect, because the changelings couldn't go back to Arcadia to regenerate their eternal soul.
Right.
And so then that's when they started to imprint themselves onto mortal souls to get their to rebirth when they were gonna die out, either to not having enough glamour or to chimerical death or to whatever. They were basically rebirthing themselves onto a human soul instead of rebirthing themselves in Arcadia.
Which I have
Um,
so many questions about that, but we'll see if we get to that point.
sure,
Because
yeah. I
that's
mean,
another
we're
thing that like it doesn't make a ton of sense to me, but yeah, we're also approaching an hour and 40, so
Oh, geez. Okay.
yeah.
Well,
Now you know
I'll try to
how.
hurry it up. Sorry.
Now you know how those turn into 4 hours.
I know. I know. It's crazy. All right. So we're gonna turn up the speed a little bit here. So
Okay.
the interregnum is basically the commoners were like, hey, all the now we're the, and so they made themselves. They started to basically make their own social strata, and they made themselves the noble. So then the compact is basically they before the shattering, Seelie and the Unseelie Fae maintain like constant rivalry and fighting between themselves. The compact is basically they made a truce. So
Okay.
they were like, now that we're cut off and we are having we have to we're in an area where we have limited resources.
Yeah, we're
We're
going to die
to
if we don't
survive
work
here.
together.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
So then there's the resurgence. So the resurgence is an event that happened pre the moon landing. So
Right.
basically, that's why I said Neil Armstrong. So
Yeah.
um, the moon landing happened, and everybody on Earth kind of went, "Wow!"
Anything's
And that
possible.
right, and that wow moment on the filled the Earth with so much glamour for that one that the gates to Arcadia burst open, and these trods were again travel. You could travel back to Arcadia for a moment in time, and so at that moment, however, instead of like all the changelings being like, "We're getting out of here," the something happened which is not explicitly stated in the book as far as like what the exact nature of it is. They
Right.
leave it mysterious, but a bunch of when the doors were kicked open, a bunch of were shoved out the gates right before the gates slam close again.
Get the hell out of here.
Right. Basically, so the who were kicked out don't have much to say on the but basically, yeah, there was something that happened, and then as soon as they could leave because there was some sort of pathway to leave, they were basically kicked out of Arcadia, and then the gates slammed shut again.
Wow.
So um, that's where the that you can play as the character class or whatever in the game,
Yeah.
you are one of those that was arrived
Ah.
during the resurgence,
I did
which
not
is
know this.
why that's why you are more affected by banality because you were not
Oh, okay.
there for the hundreds of years
Right.
beforehand. You're new on the scene.
Never knew that.
So then there's the Accordance War, which is basically now the that came back said, no, 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 no. I know we're still the nobles. You're not the nobles. You're the commoners. And so
They were
the
like,
all
"Let me
the
introduce you to the power of iron." The hell is that?
so basically, well, you have it partially right. The nobles and the commoners happened. They made a compact to meet on Samhain, and they were going to have a talk it out and come to some sort of agreement. And then a red wedding type scenario happened,
Oh
and
boy.
all of the commoner nobles were murdered terribly, permadeath with iron knives.
Well, if
So
you were gonna knock a bunch of people off, Samhain's a good time to do it, I guess.
and so yeah, the were like, this is what anyone else doesn't listen to us. We're the no.
Yeah.
So
Man, your mic
that didn't
keeps
work. Go.
cutting out. I need to see if I can. I don't
Oh,
know.
geez, really?
Yep. I don't know why, but I will turn
I
you.
adjusted it a little bit here.
Okay.
I don't
Let's
know
see
if
if
it's
that
me or you or
fixes it. It's. I mean, Discord is
I can
not
also.
recording it at all. You just drop completely out. But
Oh, that's weird. I'm sorry about that.
that's all right.
So yeah, I moved my mic maybe a little bit away from my face. Maybe I was
Okay.
overloading it or something.
Yeah.
Um. So anyway, Accordance War. Nobles say no. We're still the. Um. So that doesn't go over well. There's a bunch of infighting. Commoners are going at it,
You
trying to
may
kill
have
each
made it
other.
worse because now it's happening like every other
Oh
sentence.
no. Okay.
Let's try it.
Terrible. Is this better? Can you hear me all right?
Let's find out. All right.
Okay. So The Accordance War happened. The nobles and the I see it's do. I'm watching it.
Yep. Yep. It's a bummer.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
On all the
I
times
don't
that
know
we've
why it's.
played like Discord games and such, we've never had
Oh
this
yeah, I
problem.
know.
You go to record it, bam, immediate.
Yep. Yep. Okay. So I'll try again. It looks like it's keeping on. Now it's dropped off
Yep,
again there.
dropped
Anyway.
off again.
Okay. Accordance War. Nobles, commoners, they're fighting each other. It's bad. Um, then there's this guy, High King David. So he is a person who climbs up on scene. He is a legendary. There's this legendary sword called Caliburn, and it was lost during the fighting between the nobles and the commoners. Um, there's the fighting between the nobles and the commoners happens for a while. Then King David comes in and finds this sword and basically says, "I am the chosen one. I am here to become your king. Look, I found this fabled sword." It's kind of an Excalibur fantasy, right?
Right. Yep.
So um, everybody basically is cowed by this and says, "Okay, I guess you're the chosen one. Sure." And he leads and becomes a pretty beloved king. Actually, he does a good job and is liked by the commoners, and that is the present basically. High King David rules in Concordia, which is in New York,
Okay.
New York in the real world, and
Wild. I
yep.
had always heard
So
the name King David or High King David. Never really
yep,
knew what it meant beyond that. I was under the impression that everyone was in this like super rigid um medieval like hierarchy, so I just assumed there had to be a king if there are knights, right?
right. So yeah. So King David is in the current state of game. He's the High King of all Thay. Um, so that's current time. So I'm gonna move on.
Okay.
So briefly going over the dreaming. The dreaming is the realm that fairies come from. Specifically Arcadia, but Arcadia exists in the deep dreaming. So you have the near dreaming, the far dreaming, and the deep dreaming. Each of them is more intense and further away and harder to get to. So you also have freeholds, which are where fairies that can't get to Arcadia hang out, basically to regenerate their fairy souls. You have glades, which are basically natural freeholds, and then you have trods, which are pathways through the dreaming that connect two places. And you typically stay on a trod in order to make sure you're going to get to the place you're trying to go. They're like roads through the dreaming.
Okay.
When it's made of completely random, crazy dream stuff, you need a road to get to point A and point B.
Right, because otherwise
So, uh,
time is wishy-washy and distance means
right,
nothing.
right. So freeholds are made by Balefire, which after the closing of Arcadia, there is only so much Balefire that exists. So much like an Olympic torch, you have to go and get some Balefire from an existing freehold and walk it to wherever you want your new freehold to be.
Oh, interesting.
Um,
Okay.
and the
Huh.
Balefire is the supernatural heart of a freehold. And in freeholds is one of the few places that changelings can naturally regenerate chimerical health. And they one of the few places they feel at home, aside from Arcadia. So a lot of changelings will literally live at freeholds, just because it feels normal and natural. Glades have something called a heartstone, or a spiritual stone. I forget what exactly they call it, but Heartstone is basically the equivalent of the balefire. It's the central point that makes the glade the glade. And glades, you can also regenerate chimerical damage at, and you can get glamour and that kind of stuff. Trods, as I said, there's silver pathways. So when you enter the dreaming, which, by the way, you were asking about in the real world what happens to the host, right?
Right.
So when you are opening a trod, it is literally a portal from the real world into the dreaming, and you are going interdimensional. So your physical body disappears. Um, the near
Interesting.
dreaming is, yep, the near dreaming is a emotional imagined reflection of the real world.
So
So
this is like the
it's kind
Umbra.
correct.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's similar but different. In the near dreaming, it is basically things have presence in the near dreaming based on their emotional baggage or their emotional weight. So, something like a sports stadium is going to have a much stronger near dreaming structure. It's going to be much more clear and probably much more similar to its real
Like
world counterpart
actual. Yeah.
to,
S-
than a random person's house would.
yeah. So another thing that I've always been confused by because it seemed, again in LARP, that you just gotta get out of jail free card. Um, what are the requirements to get into the dreaming? So like with werewolf, you have to be able to see your own reflection in something. And given like, we did some bullshit with that in LARP too, but
Well, right. So in general, you find so trods are fixed points in the world that are entrances and exits to the near dreaming. So a changeling, unless there's some kind of power that I'm not familiar with or remembering, in general, you say, "Oh, I know there's this at the bar over on 54th in the bathroom, so I'm going to go and run in there and jump in that trod." And that one
okay.
leads to the library on the town.
So they are static. Uh,
Correct.
they're static points that you have to be able to reach, and then uh, do they? I guess they are trods. They have an A to B, so you can.
Correct.
Okay,
Yep.
so then you will always go in here and you will always come out there, and assuming you will transverse the same space. So if someone goes
Yes,
in at the
trods.
library, you could cross paths as they were going to the bar, for instance.
Yes, I would say that's true. That hasn't explicitly said in the book, but yes. Um, there's no reason why that would be true.
Okay.
Um, so um, the trods, like you said, have a specific point A and point B kind of scenario. And um, if the when you enter into a trod, you don't save any time. It's not like a teleport. So you are literally still like you it's the same amount of time whether you would have walked to the library or you, you took the trod to the library,
Okay.
but you don't have to cross the intervening space. So sometimes if there's
In the
problems
real
in the
world.
intervening space, right, correct, in
Yeah.
the real world. So
Well,
like if there's a fight going down or there's a fire in a building or there's the train is out or whatever, you in the changeling world walking there is the same amount of time.
well, and I guess in general, you could use all of your crazy changeling powers as soon as you get into the dreaming, because
Absolutely,
yeah,
right.
then you're free of banality's touch and all that.
Right. Yep. So if you have
Hopscotch
some
yourself
Wayfair,
right
you
over
can
there.
correct. Yes, you can just be like, "Blam! I'm gonna super fast over there." Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
So yep, that you hit the nail on the head. That's one of the other benefits. So that's basically the near dreaming and trods. The far dreaming is where the near dreaming leaves off. So now we're getting into the weird spots where it's not like the real world anymore. We're getting into now the road turns into ghostly floating blocks that you're walking on that squish or chirp or something, or like the darkness around you feels like velvet literally on your skin and you can touch it, or things that are weird and supernatural are normal in the far dreaming. um
Is that
the
also
far
where you
dreaming
start to go crazy? I remember that was a big thing. That like,
So you can get over infused, and then that's its own problem. They have a term for it, and I'm at the
yeah, I
top of my
was
head, but
trying to remember what it was too, but it was basically like a madness that
correct.
changelings had, and I couldn't remember when specifically it triggered. Um, but it
I
base
can't remember exactly either. But yes, there is a problem with having too much glamour too, and that can happen when you are getting into reaches.
Bedlam. That's it.
Yep,
Lundeen had
bedlam.
it.
Yep, you got it. Yep, yep. So you can when you're getting into these farther of the dreaming, then you have problems where you can get too much glamour, and then you start getting loopy. You get drunk on it. Um, so the far dreaming is where things start to get unreal. Then you got the deep dreaming, where is literally anything goes. The deep dreaming is the most lofty craziness that anyone's ever dreamed to the most horrific nightmare that's ever been dreamed. It's all out there in the deep dreaming. And things like time and distance and, anything that you normally would depend on as being
Yeah.
normal doesn't have to exist.
So
So,
another question, which again I'm assuming I'm
yep,
making you the expert, but I know you are not, like, this is not the thing that you do every day. Uh, at
right, that's fine.
some point there is, I think it's the far dreaming, where you can literally walk into people's dreams who are currently asleep. Is that the far dreaming or the near dreaming?
I would probably guess that that would be the deep dreaming if you are physically walking into people's dreams, since you are physically present in the dreaming.
Hmm.
Um, so I would think you would have to be, in order to walk into a dream physically, you'd have to be in the deep dreaming. But again, I'm not sure. That wasn't something I read when I was looking up.
Okay.
Um, but the deep dreaming, it's often people are the lore is that Arcadia sits smack dab in the middle of the deep dreaming. So that's part of the reason why going back there is near impossible, because if you try to travel to deep dreaming, assuming you survive the road there, when you get there, how do you find the middle of something when space has no meaning?
Right.
So
And
that
you'll have to be completely insane by the time you figure it out.
Yep, and the trods I was talking about, they pretty much only reliably exist in the near dreaming. In the far dreaming, the trods get way more unreliable and broken up and hard to follow. And the deep dreaming, they're damn near gone. Like there's no path to follow. There's no, you know,
Okay.
route. So
Hmm.
so moving on, here comes the circuit. Let me take a sip of my beer here.
Yeah. Yeah, you're gonna need it.
All right, so this is this is where most people get gripes, right?
Yep.
So changelings are goofy, crazy, bubbly, silly things, and they are completely out of kind for the world of darkness. Whereas the world of darkness, everything's supposed to be gritty and dark and scary, and so
Yes.
changeling is what you make it. Is so changeling can be about these bubbly, happy, go lucky, non scary, non horrific. You can make a game that runs completely on this 100% if you want. And I think that a lot of the people who LARPed Changeling leaned too hard into this and made it silly and goofy and dumb. So they get a bad reputation, which is the second point there. Make it seem like that's the normal thing for changelings to do is to be a goofy bastard, um, which doesn't have to be. Silly is okay, and if you that's what you want to do, and is that what you want your game to be, that's fine. But a more balanced approach would highlight the unseelie core and some of the things that they do, and also by making every single character that is a changeling this happy bubbly thing, you are making a caricature of what they are. Just like people, real world, non-game Dean and David, real people,
Yeah.
they can be happy one day and sad the next, and depending on your natural nature, they can be generally a happy person or an asshole. And changelings are no different. So they that's a problem that I totally 100% I'm with you on that people did. That is what soured it to a lot of people. The dreaming can be soft. Again, you can run a whole game doing soft stuff, no scary stuff, no, um, horrific stuff, no depressing stuff. Um, and it can be about art and drama and hope and honor and heroics and love and positive concepts, all the way down. That would be a completely Sealy court game, and you would even probably have to gloss over some of the stuff that even Sealy changelings do that is not great. So that is basically where this is what most people have a problem with, because this is what they think changeling. This is what they think changeling is, and only.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say in general it's been I have always seen it as a it's like almost a solution to the problems in the world of darkness that like the changeling is the light that is cast in the darkness. They hold the ember of creativity and love and passion in a way that has been taken from people in the world of darkness, especially when you use the like aspects of banality to be the
Hmm.
counterpoint.
Hmm.
Um
Yeah,
yeah.
and like art, drama, hope, honor, heroics, love. These are all good things, right? These are all things I think pretty universally people can say we want in our lives, right?
Yeah.
They're so yeah, it they definitely can be the light in the darkness, so to speak, the positive force in the world. And for sure, like I was saying, you can run an entire game based off of and not have it be scary at all. But that's not realistic to what the normal life of a changeling is about. Because even though you may be wanting to be, sunshine and bubbles, there's this red cap down the street that's going to kick your teeth in and take the person that you're, molding to be a dreamer and eat their face. So it's not all happy shames. So
The
the
grim
second this
grim
is
dark.
basic.
Love it.
Yeah. This is the alternate. So this is the other side of the coin, right? Again, changing is what you make it. So if you wanted to, you could make a changeling game that had no positive features. It would be characters who are all unseelie who have given up on the prospect of trying to be nice. They're going to take glamour by any means necessary, whatever makes a fast, easy, efficient meal. If that means scaring somebody halfway to death, if that means, and I'm going to say something that could be controversial here, so I apologize if it offends anybody. If that means raping somebody to make them horrified so much that they produce a tremendous amount of glamour, that's on the Unseely's plate of options they would take. It can be incredibly dark. It can be courting somebody who's wanting to commit suicide until they are just on the very brink and they are just about to take their own life, and then pushing them over the edge. And when they are lost to complete and utter despair, reap all that glamour. So it can be incredibly dark. It just depends on what you want to run and how you want to do it. They have a bad reputation and I'm playing on the same points I made before,
Right.
because they can be incredibly bad, like horrible, nasty, terrible people that are despicable. You could play a game that I would say 50% of people it would be too much. They'd walk away. So dark is okay, but normally the game isn't entirely about that, right? In a normal game, you have both. You have the unseelie fae that are doing despicable things. You have the seelie fae that are trying to be a perfect person, or honorable knight or what have you. And then you have some fae that are somewhere in the between. So they're a real representation of changeling is that it's a mixed bag. The dreaming can be hard, and by that I mean there are changelings that are just so jaded or have given up so much on the idea that they'll ever return to Arcadia, or they'll ever have a life that's approximating anything happy, that they just rip glamour out of people and do atrocities to people because they are basically glutting themselves on glamour because it's the only thing that makes them happy or makes them feel like they are going to. It's like the person who knows that they're going to die tomorrow, so they eat 12,000 calories in a sitting. So
This is just
then
Wraith.
Wraith is more, I would argue that this is more about despair. Wraith is more about compulsion, or more about unfinished business, right? That's
Sure.
that's what Wraith is about.
Yeah.
This is more about like everything sucks. I can't ever Nothing's gonna be right ever again, and so fuck it. I'm just gonna do whatever makes
Oh
me feel good.
fuck it.
Yep. So yeah, that's basically the unseelie core. So things like anger, fear, depression, lust, those are all things that Seelie core, that's their bread and butter. So, so how Changeling is different. So you have these are where I just basically draw some comparisons, right? So you have vampire, where you have the beast, modern horror. It's if I in one word, if I had to put, I mean, I just at the end of these, I put one word that kind of
Yeah.
is a coin for each of these. So it's about hunger, right? In vampire, it's whether it's hunger for power, hunger for blood. It's about wanting more all the time.
And never being
In where,
satisfied. Yeah.
yep. In werewolf, spirituality, shapeshift, rage. Like they're always angry. They're fighting their beast. They're trying to kill the bad guys and save the world from apocalypse. It's they're always trying to fight against their nature to lash out at the bad things that are happening. Right. Then you got Wraith, unfinished business, internal examination, shadow, and really, in a word, desire. The reason they stick around is because of their desire to stick around, because they have things that they need to do. They have fetters. They have, their desire is what drives them. Then you have Mage, which is bending reality, which I mean, pretty obvious. It's about control. It's about taking what should be one way and bending it to what you want it to be. It's about maintaining control over everything. Hunter, you have monsters, the hunters, killing things, and monster killing. So you have these people who have become monsters themselves, trying to hunt other things that they think are the worst thing. And it's about them feeling safe, or wanting to make others safe. It's about safety. Because they're trying to weed out these horrible things. So changelings are different in the fact that they have agency. You are awoken to this large reality. Your changeling self, comes awake, and you slowly start to realize that changeling is about despair. You have already lost your ties to your homeland. You can't go back. And you're in a world that is slowly trying to strangle you over time, because humans, the very things that feed, are not wanting to feed you. They're doing actively doing things, kills off their glamour, which is what you feed on to survive. Then so changelings have to cultivate glamour, not steal it normally. So if you are Seelie, you might, be a muse to this painter, a songwriter or something, and try to make them make this next great epic, beautiful thing. And if you're unseelie, I already gave some examples of things that they might do to, reap glamour from people. And when I say normally, I mean there is a way that they can effectively, truly force people to create glamour, and usually it winds up killing the person that they do it to, and it is intensely frowned upon even by unseelie. It's kind of like diablerie. So like
Yeah.
normally you can't lower your gen, right? Well, there's a way.
If there's a
So
will, there's a way.
right. So yeah. So they have to cultivate the resource. They don't just get to go, look at the moon and, oh, I have rage, or I talk to some spirits and make a deal. I have some glamour. Oh, I go to the dude over here and I steal his blood. I have blood. So, um, you know, I'm not as familiar with Wraith. They might have to do something more to get their
They
power
have to be
resource.
around a person experiencing the emotion that their passion is tied to, or
Okay,
more likely directly um, indulging in that passion. So if it was like, uh, finish my last painting, then if someone is painting, uh, it'd be finish my last painting, hope. So if someone's
okay,
experiencing hope, then they can make a roll. It's at target number 8. If someone's actively painting a hopeful thing, then it's at like I think 6 or 5.
sure. Okay, so in that case, Wraith is probably the closest, as far as resource generation to Changeling than any of the other ones. So
Yeah, because it requires a person. You can't just harvest it from nothing.
right, or just go up and take it from somebody. Um,
Well,
yeah.
usually you could use some stuff.
Okay, right. With exceptions,
Right.
with exceptions. But yeah, and then the last thing that makes sorry, my mic cut out again. The
Yep.
last thing that makes Changeling different from a lot of these other things is the flexible power, right? Which we already went over the nuts, crazy go nuts
Yeah,
stuff that arts
holy
and realms
shit.
can do. Um, so yeah, that is unique to pretty much everything but mage. So like mage can do some crazy go nuts
Oh
stuff
yeah.
as well. But you have all these different bits and pieces together that make Changeling a different, interesting thing that is in the world of darkness that makes it unique. So I haven't really been reading verbatim off the slides a lot here, but this next slide I'm going to read verbatim off of, and hopefully I won't break up terribly much here. But
Okay.
um, this next slide is basically I tried to answer the question, what makes Changeling dark? What makes Changeling fit in the world of darkness? Why is it dark? Why
Yeah.
how is it
How
what's
is
it
it
what's its
horror?
excuse? How is it horror?
Yeah.
Right. Yep. So this is my answer. You are a reborn eternal soul trapped in a dusty shell of the world that you used to rule with the utmost authority. You survived by shoehorning your soul on top of a human's, a lesser being. And every time you are reborn, you have to remember everything from your past lives all over again. You were abandoned by your nobles who swore to protect you from harm. You can't go home. And if you try, you will likely sacrifice your eternal soul. You are the abandoned, the lost, the dregs of a once mighty people, and you have to watch day by day as the glamour that keeps you alive is actively weeded out and destroyed by the very people that produce it, leaving you to wither and slowly starve until your permanent death.
All right, I'll give you one for that. That's that's pretty good. That's that's pretty fucked up.
That's Changeling in a nutshell.
Yeah, which again is just not the side that you ever see. The thing,
Right.
and like I want to wait until you're done with your presentation to drop in on a couple more of these points. But
Sure. Yeah,
like,
we're wrapping it up here.
okay, I'll let you get to
So,
your final
yep,
slide or
I think there's
whatever.
only like a couple more
Okay.
slides here. So, 20 years later, this is what I was talking about.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah. So, like these things didn't exist 20 years ago when the game was written. And nowadays, Changeling would be even more dark than it was when it was written, because things like AI, VR, AR, climate change, Corona, the pandemic, modern smartphones, these things would just bleed banality all over the place. I put politics as arguable because it would generate a lot of fear.
Right.
So I wasn't.
Yeah.
I wrote that. I wrote that first, and then I was like, well, maybe not.
I mean, there's
But
always been pretty messed up shit happening depending on what part of the world you lived in. So
right,
politics has
yeah,
always been awful. Uh,
right.
but yeah,
But
smartphones
all
and
these
AI.
other,
Ooh.
yeah, yeah. I mean, being a changeling when art is being basically categorized and scientifically wiped out,
Yeah.
and like, and smartphones. Can you imagine? Like, you don't have to have an imagination anymore. Just ask Google.
Yeah.
So like.
Lundeen says, "Oh man, a Dauntain tech bro." I kill changing just by talking about the blockchain.
Oh boy.
If you
But
ain't
yeah,
storing your
so
glamour in the
he,
blockchain, what are you even doing?
how many Bitcoin is the glamour worth? Uh,
God damn.
but yeah, these are just some things I thought were interesting. Looking back on the book, like these are some things that I was like, wow, yeah, they don't have any of this kind of stuff mentioned because it didn't exist. So lastly here, before we just go, open Q&A, here's this little conspiracy theory I was looking at. So I have a larger picture of the main cover of the book here.
Okay.
So on the main cover of the book, there's lots of imagery. You have the sword, that's Caliburn, right there,
Okay.
by the way. You have the griffin, which is House Gwydion. King David is a she from House Gwydion. So that griffin represents House Gwydion. You have the crown above the griffin's head, representing we're talking about King David. There's no real doubt. If you have a royal crown on top of the griffin holding the sword, we're talking about King David, right? But then you have a clock which has a 13 on it. So the clock is basically, I think, representing like at the 12th hour or 13th hour. In other words,
Yeah.
like be out of time. Like this is like things were already too late, but something happened after it was already too late, right? And then you have the corners of the book. In each one of these corners is an icon representing, starting at the top left,
Mhm.
chicanery, and going to the top right, prop, actor, and fey. Those are chicanery is the art, and then the other three are realms. So if you have it, and I think that those corners, I mean, and admittedly, those are also on every other page of the book too. That's just the border, total border, like
Right.
that they use on all the throughout the whole thing. But considering this is all displayed on one page and it's on the front cover of the book, I'm wondering if maybe King David didn't ever find Caliburn, if it is a emotional ploy running on prop actor and Faye, showing that basically he used some crazy amount of chicanery to emotionally manipulate people and a little bit of magical glamour to make a sword that looked enough like Caliburn, that he was brought in as the king because everybody wanted to stop fighting but needed a symbol. So
That's that's pretty good.
I'm wondering if he's just a convenient answer to a big problem and everybody just got behind it.
Which, depending, and again, looking at it from the assuming that this Fae has access to powers beyond fifth,
I
what?
mean, there's no reason to say he would, but sure, for the
Yeah.
sake of argument.
Um, it is possible that Caliburn never existed. That it was an idea that he had of what if this sword represented pure uh, authority, then all I need to do is wield it. So I'm just going to create a sword that has this authority in it. Poof, here it is. and everyone who's affected, which is everyone apparently,
Yeah, actor, Faye, and prop, right?
right,
Yeah,
um, sees it and says, "Oh, that's Caliburn." Everyone knows that the king of the Fae wields
wields
Caliburn
Caliburn.
because it's been
Yep,
burned into our memory all of a sudden.
yeah. So, just a fun little thing. I was looking at the title of, and I was like, thinking, that's really cool art. I really like the like stained glass effect. It's just really visually appealing. And but then I was like, huh, I wonder why they have those things in years. And that's Caliburn, but I wonder what's the Griffin about. And then I read the story again, and I realized that he was House Gwydion, and I was like, oh, and that's a crown. Oh,
Now, put it into even more craziness. It's a picture which is cracked, which I assume is
yeah,
supposed to represent the fact that their kingdom has been taken from them, their lives are subtly destroyed or cracked or whatever. But you can push it
yeah.
further to say that the uh, cantrip that was done that created Caliburn, or like, however we want to read whatever
Manipulated
cantrip he
people
did,
into,
yeah,
yeah.
it's not permanent, and people are starting to see the cracks in the
Oh, I like
facade of
that
it.
too. Yeah,
Uh,
that's cool too.
I also wonder too, the clock, the way that the hands are aligned on it reminds me a lot of the Doomsday Clock that you saw in like Dr. Manhattan and the comedian are in Watchmen.
Yeah, yep.
My brain works so weird. I like I start as
You
some
got there.
bizarre
You got
thing
there.
and then I can keep walking my way there. But that is interesting because if 13 existed on the Doomsday Clock, it it would be past the apocalypse. It would
Right,
be like the hour directly after the end.
which is where changelings are at pretty much because they can't get back. They're doomed, more or
Yeah.
less. They're just, yeah, they're just trying to survive in a world that is in basically slowly killing them. So,
Yep. So I mean, there's good symbolism in general across it, but reading
yep,
into that conspiracy, it definitely adds a lot of credence to it.
yep. I just thought it was a fun idea.
Yeah. Because what
But
I
yeah,
remember was like
that's
that was one of the big plots for LARP Changeling was that everyone was trying to find King David. King David disappeared. Is that like
yep. And then
a standard
he
thing
didn't. I
or
mean, well, in the base book, basically, King David reigns in Concordia in New York and is just here. That's the standard of play. That's where we're in current times. Is
okay?
he's over in New York. He's in Concordia. We're
So
good.
so meta plot
So
is King David is around and hanging.
at least according to the base book,
Yeah.
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 So there might be other material released where he wandered off or something, but
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, I got so if you are done with your presentation, I have
that's it. Yep.
some stuff to add that I is my like the discord that's in my brain that I can't get rid of is so
Yep.
and you covered it. I mean, you at least like touched on it of so in order to fulfill the things of the unseelie, it gets to the point that the things that a player character would have to do are basically unspeakable. So like that's that those are the two extremes. Either you're fostering creativity and things in order to follow like a Sealy path, and the unseelie path is so horrible that players wouldn't really want to touch it with a 10-foot pole.
I mean, you don't have to. I went extremes, right? So going back to what I was saying, you can play it how you want it. Most people don't, you know, aren't such a soft touch that they would try to get glamour by making somebody create masterpieces, and that is the only thing they ever do, because that takes a long time. And if you're waiting for the next masterpiece, that's gonna be a while, you know.
Right.
So and a lot of times they'll have like lots of different, they call them dreamers, lots of different dreamers that they're like fostering to try to, reap the glamour from. And so in a way, yes, there's definitely, that's like the best, quote unquote, best way is fostering creativity and then reaping it when the people feel like they, did something amazing and they made their masterpiece or they did whatever. um but they don't, it's not always about that. Sometimes it's in the simple things like, you know you there's a person that's getting bullied at school, and you're body of a height, let's say you're a teenager, right? So
Yeah.
I didn't really go into, I mean, just very briefly, there's childlings, wilder, and grumps, which are basically what physical stage your physical body is at. So you can either be embodying a child, embodying a teenager, or embodying an adult, right? So let's say that you are in a wilder body, so you're a teenager. And at school, your best friend is getting just ripped into by other people, and they feel completely awful. And then you find just the right thing to say to them to rekindle their self-esteem and make them fight back, emotionally, and they feel like they can, go on another day. That might be glamour right there, and that was no, big effort, no thing that you had to work towards um to gain the glamour. That's like the normal everyday style of glamour generation
So
without a whole lot of crazy setup.
is there the concept of the no free lunch where if I had to use glamour to generate, does it not produce glamour? So like can I use one to generate 5 for instance?
I think you probably can. I don't remember seeing that anywhere. Like there isn't a, glamour for free style thing. I'm sure that they would weed
Right.
that out,
Well,
but
no, just in general,
um
like in some cases, and maybe this is mostly just unknown armies in my head actually, that like if you use magic in any way, shape, or form, it stops you from being able to harvest magic out of it.
oh, no, I'm pretty sure that's not true, because they go into the how they are using like arts in order to sway people's emotions to make them want to produce, do art or whatever. And then when they do the art, you reap the glamour. I think it's just a matter of, do you want, how much are you spending versus what reward, because you can't guarantee, what you're getting out of the situation, because you're depending on somebody else's, emotions in the end of it. So if you inspire them and spend three glamour to inspire them to do their thing, but then they only generate two when they're done because they weren't entirely happy with their painting, then you've lost a glamour. So,
Right. And that would track. I guess also the thing that has always, and again, like I don't know, all the shit's just LARP stuff. That always kind of pushed against me and rubbed me the wrong way was the idea that the disbelief aspect of it is like actually poisonous. So to have someone be overtly even like moderately scientific around you potentially could generate enough banality that it would like strip glamour off of you. So like if you're a kid in high school and you go to chemistry, how bad is it for you?
yeah, there definitely is that. And you have separate banality and glamour tracks. So like you have seven banality and seven glamour at the time. So it doesn't necessarily, one doesn't strip the other
Okay.
necessarily. Um, but having too much of either is bad. And yes, there are things that are in the everyday world that will generate banality points for your changeling. You in the very typical of old world White Wolf, you have 10 permanent points and 10 temporary points. So when you go to chemistry class as your wilder, you might gain a temporary point of banality. And if you get 10 of those, you get another permanent point. But you can also wipe away finality points by any number of things in the system, which I don't have to enumerate off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's fine. Um,
But
okay, so
but as far as like
yeah,
gaining glamour goes, there's four different ways. So there's reverie, which reverie is the one that you're thinking about, where you inspire a person, and you that's the positive, seely,
right,
non-destructive, beneficial way. And then there's rapture, which is an unusual one that I don't think a lot of people get into. Rapture is basically, um, you allow your mortal self to become so inspired that your changeling self generates glamour. So you are effectively like self-perpetuating your own glamour. It's hard to do. It's kind of like, uh it's not the same, but I kind of relate it to like Vampire Gehenna,
yeah.
or not Gehenna. Is it Gehenna?
No,
Or
it's
they're
Gloconda.
Golconda, yeah.
Yeah,
It's Gehenna is the apocalypse or
right.
whatever. But um
The end of days.
but it but it's kind of like Vampire Golconda, where, oh, I don't, the you basically can, the rapture allows the changeling to gain glamour from his or her own imagination. So it's a harder role, I believe, and you have to create an artistic or creative breakthrough, according to the book, quote unquote. So it's not something you could just sit down and do in 10 minutes. But
Not unless you're
what's
Stephen
really
King.
cool, well, but what, right. Um, but what's really cool is that is one of the ways, very few ways in the game that you can gain yourself permanent glamour. Um,
Oh,
so
interesting. I did not.
through through Rapture, you can get yourself a permanent glamour point if you roll well enough when you perform Rapture on
Holy
yourself.
shit.
Yep. So then there's Ravaging. So Ravaging is way I was telling about, basically the unseelie way
Right.
that deals more with negative emotions and that kind of thing. But that isn't even Ravaging isn't even, like I said, I went through the extremes, but you could also do Ravaging by basically like being an unseelie, you walk up and you just start a fight with somebody. And if you generate enough anger, you can get glamour off that. It doesn't need to be, some big dramatic horrible ordeal, but I was going, like I said, the far extremes,
Yeah.
right? Um,
But is it any
so
strong negative emotion?
so with Ravaging, basically, it's psychically hard on the victim. They don't have an infinite supply of glamour, and they need time to replenish their creativity. If the glamour is stolen from them, it will take much longer to regenerate than it is if it's naturally produced by their art and stuff.
Right.
Um, so, um, and if a person is ravaged repeatedly and frequently, the creativity can basically be. Um, but basically, once a changeling has established a relationship with a person, then they can, through these emotions. It's not necessarily. It's basically like the quick and dirty way versus the long and brought out and letting them come to it themselves kind of way.
Yeah.
Um, I'm just trying to make sure I'm not leading you wrong
Well,
here.
it's alright. Either way. I mean,
But yeah, basically, ravaging it's basically psychic assault is
yeah.
what it is. You're basically saying, give me your glamour. You are, you are inspired because of all these reasons, and those reasons are usually easier to produce if they're negative, so, um but then the last one is Rhapsody. And Rhapsody is despite the name that doesn't sound too bad, Rhapsody is the like
It's horrible.
Diablerie type thing.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So, um, in Rhapsody, basically what a changeling does is they inject glamour into a human to magically force them to be creative. And so when they do that, the human is supernaturally inspired, and they basically go on a 48-hour painting spree without sleep, rest, food, or anything else to create their one true masterpiece because the muse says so. And usually they burn out and die in the process of trying to do whatever they do.
Yeah.
um, and then, so obviously the person's dead, right? So you can't gain glamour from them.
Right.
But through Rhapsody, the item that they create, or whatever the song that they write, or whatever it is,
Right.
that that becomes Dross. So Dross is basically a changeling glamour battery. So
Ah.
they're basically like infusing their soul object, which then after they kick off, you pick up and go, "Thanks, bud."
Which
So,
actually goes back to the Are You Afraid of the Dark episode, where he was getting him to do the thing over and over again to permanently change him so that he could feed off of his soul basically forever. And that
yeah,
he, like, repeatedly did this because when they eventually get into his, which would basically be his own freehold, um, because it was even weird. I think it even was weird that, like, it was slightly bigger on the inside or something, but uh
sure.
they find out that there's been like dozens. He basically like transforms them into frogs or other gross animals like snakes and things. And he was
Hmm.
keeping them all in this big terrarium.
Okay,
But
interesting.
that that lines up pretty good with that, which again means
Yeah,
that you could do so. But again, like, would a player character ever do that? I guess, like,
I mean, are you
technically.
asking me that
Yeah.
for real? There are people who do all kinds of terrible things going back to the. I mean, think about what people did in there.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. You're right.
but but yeah, the one thing that I thought was particularly poignant or kind of depressing, which again, I think that Changeling is ultimately about despair. But so when the person's soul is infused into their art or whatever it is that you supercharged them to do,
Hmm.
um, the process of using that item to pull glamour from it
Yeah.
inevitably and always destroys the art item that they made. So even the irony, the dark irony is that even in this person's masterstroke artistry that killed them to create, the changeling destroys it in the end to pull the glamour from.
So you made this amazing painting, but I can only get the magic out of it if I burn it, slash it, whatever.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Hmm. I mean,
So
I will
even
say,
in
like,
death, they don't get
there's
their masterpiece. Yeah.
there is way more darkness in this game than I ever thought possible. 100%. Because again, when you're dealing with the other side of it, of I'm not in that world. I am in this other world playing vampire, werewolf, whatever, and I'm just dealing
Oh yeah.
with, because a lot of the times too, the way that the plot progressions would appear is that everything was like D&D. There were quests and quest givers, and you weren't playing a person, and that the person that you are is so secondary, that the changeling is all that really matters. And in every other World of Darkness game, you start with a person and then deal with the fact that you've been changed into this thing and that you're going into
Hmm.
this kind of death spiral of, I either have to destroy my old life, which I guess technically you'd have to do with Changeling as well to some degree, but it
Yeah.
doesn't require it. It's a thing that could
Hmm.
happen, but depending on the position that you're in, it's not like,
Not necessary.
yeah, the degradation isn't there, which I feel like in I mean, even in Mage, there is a thought that, like, if you can't do the thing that you were born to do, or that doing the thing that you were born to do, it's going to damage you permanently. So like eventually mages are going to get permanent paradox. They're going to get enough like weird stuff that even normal people, the people in their lives and stuff, they're going to push them away because the stuff that they do has that effect. Or, I mean,
Mhm.
even more horrible, a mage, they're going to just forget that you exist. Wake up one day and
Right.
your mother doesn't know who you are anymore because your soul has begun to ascend. Where there isn't really a mechanic or some aspect in Changeling that, like, if your Fey side is really fucked up, your family life is probably still okay, unless you just, like, decided to take it out on your family.
Well, I mean, to some extent, yes, I'll agree with you. The being a changeling doesn't inherently make being a mortal more difficult necessarily. But like, if you work in a office building and you become a changeling, going to work and gaining banality points while you're trying to shuffle papers in your cubicle isn't going to work. So you're going to need to figure out some way to make a living, or if you are a childling, you're still expected to, go to school. Cue chemistry problem,
Yeah,
or science
that's
class
true.
problem. And or when you're a childling, and the local court tells you that they want you to hunt down a chimerical beast that's ravaging the countryside, and I expect you to do that this afternoon. That's kind of hard to get out of school to go and do that thing.
Well,
Um,
it's a good thing that you can mind control everyone within 30 feet of your primary target.
but yes, so I mean, there's still definitely complications.
Yeah,
And the it's just that, as I said before, back in my previous slide, changelings have agency, right? So
yeah,
that's one thing that a lot of other characters don't. You're being pulled and pushed and controlled by what you have become, right?
right.
But with a changeling, you are more or less still in control. Your options are there. It's just that you are struggling to get this glamour and survive and be what you are. And you feel like you're displaced all the time. And so, yes, there isn't something like pulling at you necessarily. And in this game, the changeling storyteller of the game, if you're doing a game revolves around change, like a changeling only game that makes,
Right.
then the storyteller would have to make plots that would involve you guys that doesn't revolve around, you know, George is hungry and we have to try to find him something to eat. To be honest, to me, those are those are more. I like that better, because when it becomes just a matter of, oh well, I have to go eat again, okay, let's go. What it boils down to after the game has been going on for more than a few sessions is, let me just roll some dice to do a hunting check, and then I
Right.
fill up my blood pool again.
Yeah.
So
Or, I mean, eventually you're like, I'll spend the 3 XP to buy herd or whatever. So I don't
right,
have to
so I
deal with
mean
this
it.
bullshit anymore.
So like, it becomes washed out in the end anyway, and
Yeah.
that's kind of my point. Whereas with changeling, it almost feels like when you're a changeling and you have to deal with, the world trying to, snuff you out while you're trying to inspire, people to get glamour. You have to deal with all that just to have glamour to, survive your day to day. But also, the local lord is trying to get you to take out this, horde of wild hogs that's ravaging his cornfields, and Lady What's Her Face wants you to talk to this other noble in order to get her to agree to the terms and conditions of the fake contract she made out.
Just
And then there's also this other guy.
we're
You
back in
have
D&D
these.
already.
Yeah, yeah. It does have that, but it seems more. Ironically, it seems more real as far as like problems and
Right.
requests and like things that you would have to do than vampire and werewolf, where it's just more you have this amorphous other thing that either you're fighting either yourself or these other creatures that you're fighting, and they're doing bad things, and usually the storyteller winds up saying, hey, XYZ is under attack as a werewolf and you have to go defend it, or hey, XYZ spirit is getting corrupted, you have to go cleanse it. And then as a vampire, it's, social politics and, power mongering, but also, hey, you're hungry again, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the games are what they are, and I'm not trying to prove anything else, but I think that Changeling is different than the others, but no less valid.
So with glamour, do you have to spend a certain amount of glamour a week, or like, because you have a lot of impetus to say that you have to generate glamour to exist, but
Yep.
but what do you have, like, what is the quota that you're trying to meet? Because I thought glamour was only spent when you were doing weird changeling shit.
So that is a good point, and I was where in the having trouble finding it because I figured that was going to be a question.
Yeah.
Glamour is used. Glamour is used for the arts, of course, but you also, I believe, use glamour to use trods, and your glamour is also used for um, certain abilities that you have for like kiths. You have to spend glamour to activate
Right.
them.
Your like
Um,
blessings and such.
but like assuming that you did nothing and you just were like
Hanging
sitting in a
out.
box or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah. Um, temporary glamour is lost by spending. I'm reading in the book here. Temporary glamour is lost by spending it to effects. Blah blah blah. Permanent glamour is lost as your character ages. A
Yeah.
childling who becomes a wilder loses glamour, as does a wilder who becomes a grump. This marks the changeling's gradual slide towards mundanity as he grows. It does not say like you have to spend a glamour every X days or whatever. But it does in previous parts of the book make it known that like you without any glamour in your system, you're changeling. So it's basically something that you need you have a desire to have as part of being a changeling. Um, I'm trying to read here. Um,
Because that, I mean, that right there, that one tweak would change this game entirely to say you need glamour
you're on
to
a
live.
you're on a
So,
ticking clock.
right.
Yeah.
Because that's essentially all vampire is, right? Like,
Hmm.
you have to feed because if you don't, it'll drive you insane. And eventually, like, then you feed anyway, and then, you're just gonna do the first thing that you come across. It would make
Right.
more sense. And I wish that we could, like, because have you played any Changeling the Lost?
I have. Yeah.
Uh, because the for them, and again, like, I haven't played enough of it to really get like a super good grasp. But to them, their exigent circumstance is that there are things actively hunting them for what they are. So it isn't that they
Hmm.
have to, spawn creativity or whatever to survive. It's you got out of the Feywild, and the thing that you escaped from hates you for it. So now they're gonna make it your whole problem. And of course, that like while you were gone, you were replaced with fetch, and like that's its own
Hmm.
problem. So that makes the tension from that immediately palpable, and it uses the players uh the lack of agency that they had for their loved ones and stuff becomes a deeply personal horror story instantly.
Sure. And I am by no means trying to is bad. I think that it is just fine as a system, and it has a lot of people like it a lot. I don't mind it as much. Um, or rather, that's a weird way to say it. I like it, but I don't like it in comparison to Old World Changeling as much as other people do. Like, um, I find them both to be decent systems and have their own benefits and flaws. A lot of people are just like, nah, the New World's where it's at. I'm never going to play Old World again, which is fine. I
that
mean,
that
I
is where
haven't.
I was until this conversation. You have changed my mind that there is depths to be plumbed here. Um, but yeah, I mean, I feel like there does need to be some amount of impetus. Like, I would love for there
Yeah,
to be something like a fading where if you don't get glamour like once a week or something like that, your fey person like takes damage, or
right.
you actually like atrophy as a fey, like your arm disappears or something, a la Back to the Future, where like, oh, you're
Sure.
not doing that thing, I'm gonna slowly unmake you because you're made of dreams and you're not dreaming enough.
Right. You have no dream juice, and
Right.
yeah, like what you were saying, like spend the glamour, exist. If or I mean that
Yeah.
might be even yeah, glamour every few days or something.
Yeah.
Um,
I think, and
but
and again,
I would
like, we
agree with
haven't.
that. I think that's a good idea.
I'm giving myself a point. You're way ahead, by the way.
Okay.
uh yeah, I mean, I I always look at World of Darkness from that lens, and it's probably because of my love for Hunter the Reckoning so much that, like, I want to see the person and then see what happens to the person when their reality is shattered due to this change. So, like, the vampires first wake up, they feel a hunger that's with them for the rest of their lives. The werewolves
Hmm.
go through their first change and they feel a hatred for things that are, wrong in this world that they can't fix, and it's always bubbling under the bottom that any person could set off even by accident.
Yep.
Wraiths have a fucking encyclopedia of problems that they have to deal with. If you can survive a couple of weeks without becoming a sofa, you're doing great. But that inherent threat that exists, because there isn't really anything actively hunting changelings or causing them direct problems that they couldn't avoid by just not being a changeling at that moment. At least, well, I take
Yeah,
that back.
it's
So,
it's
like,
kind of it's kind
if
of like
you're,
mage in that regard. Like mages, if they
yeah,
never cast magic, nothing's what you're just a dude.
well, yeah,
So
and then ultimately you will not be a mage anymore if you deny your avatar, because it's gonna
sure, but
keep pushing you. But does your
sure.
seeming push you?
Well, the seeming or your changeling body, like because you are dual natured and the dreaming is all around, it's very hard to deny or ignore the changeling aspect that you have. Because when you walk into the bakery shop and you order bread and there's a troll sitting over there waving at you, it's
Right.
you're not just going to be like, no, I didn't see anything. So there isn't anything that like pulls you into doing Fey things because you are a Fey and it's inextricably bound to who you are. That's it.
Yeah.
So, but my point is much like you were saying, there's nothing like hunting them, and you're right. There's not a specific, you know, uh, true Fae out there that's trying to come get them or bring them back, haul them back to Arcadia or wherever. Um, but it's just the oppressive nature of the very reality that they exist in that is the problem. And I agree that if there was some sort of a reason that they were actively having to get glamour to continue to survive, which I want to say I remember there being
So,
something like that, but I for the life of me can't find it.
thinking on that,
Um,
can you spend glamour to remove banality? Is that their ticking time bomb? that you have to do these strange, wonderful things, or eventually you'll stop remembering or. Because I mean, I guess ultimately that's another question, and maybe we could just look at the banality chart, and it's like, yeah, denying your Fey being and ignoring this huge banality hit. In which case,
Well,
like, yeah, you have to interact. You can't avoid it.
well, yes, I can tell you right off the gate, 100% correct. If you ignore your chimerical, like if, for example, the example they gave in the is if you are a troll and you are 8 feet tall, and then you get into the back of a Volkswagen Bug, you
Yeah.
get banality. So you are basically ignoring your changeling, mean, and so you take a banality hit. Um, so some things in the book is, for examples, are you gain a temporary point whenever you use your own banality to resist cantrip, which is a thing, by the way.
Oh yeah, I
You
forgot
can,
about that. You can disbelieve
um,
someone else's magic.
yep. You get if your character attempts to overcome a being's banality fails. Oops, sorry, I broke up. If you try to, when you cast magic on people, you have to overcome their banality points to
Oh
hit
yeah.
them with it. And so if you attempt to overcome somebody's banality and fail, you gain a point of banality.
And yeah,
Um,
Dan is saying too that like even simple day-to-day stuff like troll not ducking under door in order to
right.
get through, like that isn't enough of itself enough. And maybe again like I could see that as a thing of like yeah, you're constantly pushing against banality. But banality in the and I get that it's horrific in the idea that you're an immortal soul and that like that part of it is being lost, but the idea of quote unquote dying to banality just doesn't. I mean, existentially, I guess it's horrifying, but at the table, we like, well, yeah, I guess I just do more paperwork these days.
Isn't that horrifying? That's
Yeah.
horrifying to me.
Oh my god. I've become undone. I'm a computer programmer now. What a horrible existence that must be.
Well, you know, when you have the option, a computer programmer or a powerful miracle being that can cast magic. I mean,
I mean, the programmer, we can do some kind of crazy shit sometimes. You know, it's basically like magic. I gotta say weird shit into a box, and then it sometimes does things across the world. It's basically magic.
yeah, yeah. I mean, sure. But to answer your earlier question, spend a temporary point of glamour, and you can stupid microphone or whatever this is. You can spend a point of glamour and kill off a point of banality. So yes, you can directly
Okay.
counter banality with glamour.
And Dan says the dread of banality and the loss of your immortal soul is the point of playing a role-playing game. Yes, you are correct. Technically correct, which is the best kind of correct for your banality driven ass. No. No, that's another good point, and I shouldn't dismiss that
Dismiss.
as
Yeah.
much, yeah, as I am, I'm sure. It just doesn't have the punch of like, oh, I'm a vampire now and I'm hungry, but I have to be at home. Are my loved ones safe if I don't keep my guard up forever because I could lose it at any moment? Because, you know, my wife's cutting vegetables and cuts her finger, and all of a sudden I'm making a hunger roll. Like, that ever present threat of losing control of yourself seems
Hmm.
more present in the rest of the World of Darkness games that you don't have that aspect of going through a harrowing, losing yourself to rage or the hunger or what's the mage thing where you go mad? Uh
Mad Mage syndrome. I don't
yeah.
know.
Whatever the name for the mad mage syndrome is,
Yeah.
that there's
I
always that
change
threat. And I guess Bedlam is
changelings.
that.
I was just gonna say. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, with changeling, not it doesn't come up very often because you're not often suffused with glamour, but it would probably be Bedlam. Yeah.
Episode of Marauder, or Marauders are the people who are having an episode of the thing. Yep, it's gone. Doesn't matter. Um,
Okay.
yeah. Ugh, I hate when I can't remember stuff like that. I was an encyclopedia of
No
that
more.
stuff before.
Well, yeah, we have
A
like
quiet.
lives and
It's
stuff.
called a quiet. There it is.
The quiet.
It
Okay.
is in there. Yeah, and
Is it
uh,
is it quiet or disquiet?
it is called a quiet. I'm
Oh, all
like
right.
90% sure that it is called quiet.
I'll believe you.
Um, but still 10%. And yeah, as Dan says, the problem with Changeling has always been other people. Yeah, yeah. As all of my stories as we go through, that's 100%. Uh, and Lundin wants you to become a Dantean and appreciate his beautifully categorized library.
He can keep his spreadsheets. Thank you.
Yeah, which the Dantean is like, which actually we probably should wrap before I go on the next
Yeah.
thing. I'm gonna say that you are the clear winner in this discussion and debate. You have convinced me at least that there is way more horror in this game than I ever thought was even possible. Um,
Well, good. That was pretty much my goal to say that it has some legs. So,
yeah, it has legs. It's the like pure fantasy of it still doesn't scream horror to me, but the things that you
not
talked
modern
about in
horror.
between, true, and maybe that's something for me to explore at some point. There isn't any reason that we can't throw in folk horror because realistically that's what it's going to end up looking like. It's going to look like the
Oh,
worst parts of The
100%.
Witcher, where you're like talking with a hive-faced monster that vomits bees. You're like, yeah, it's vomiting bee witch, man. She lives in the hog down the stairs. I don't know what to tell you.
She
Don't
makes
knock
good
on her
cookies.
log.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I said it a couple times, but Changeling is all about what you do with it. It's about what you want to run. So,
Yes. All right. Well, with that, we do have some folks, and you are the guest. How much do you know about Twitch?
I know it exists. I know it's about game streaming, and I have an account, but I don't use it very. Why do you say?
Uh, if I said, who do you want to raid? What does that mean to you?
Who do I want to raid?
Yes.
Like raid to me is like World of Warcraft or other MMO style
Yeah.
things.
So it does not mean the Twitch thing. So in Twitch, you can basically send your audience to a different channel when you're done with your stream in order to promote, like, hey, I'm going to bring my audience to you so that they can learn about you. And then the hope is that other people raid into you, and then that's how you get new
Uh huh.
subscribers, or
Sure.
new followers mostly. Um, so you don't have a channel that you watch that we can raid into. So
Raid into
uh,
something that you like.
I do see that Cybernation is running a Vampire the Masquerade Chronicle called Second City Sins. So I think that's where we're going because we're in the world of
Sure.
darkness.
That
So,
sounds good.
but all right, thank you for coming in, David. This has been fantastic. I was definitely looking forward to this whole deal. So I am excited that I may actually have a reason to buy a Changeling book someday. Someday.
Well, I'm, not high on the list, but it's there.
But yes. I will
So
say, like,
anyway,
yeah, Wade got me to buy a Lancer book in under a month, so I'm pretty impressed. I may actually pick up Changeling the Dreaming to kick it around in my head just to see.
it's not bad. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad that I was able to convince you that it's not hot garbage.
Fantastic. All right, we're gonna start this raid. I think we'll have like 10 seconds.
All right,
So
right
yeah, 10
away.
seconds. All right. Thanks everybody. Thank you for
Thank
following.
you.
Thank you for subscribing. Love the Prime subs. We will catch you next time.
Thanks. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
And almost. There it is.